I love it when the movies take real things that happened. Like they did the Cuban Missile Crisis in that movie. Like they actually did it and they adapted it into the movie.
We can't talk about this without the greatest example of all time.
Oh, let's go. Let's hear it.
What's the greatest example?
I don't know. You gotta give it to me.
Come on, movie. Very famous director. Rewrote some history in a very ridiculous way.
Oh, you're talking about Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, yeah, baby.
As soon as you said rewrote history, I knew immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, Inglourious Basterds is without a doubt a top 10, or I think it's a top 5er for me.
Is that your number one Tarantino?
Oh, yeah. What's cooking, everybody? When I was growing up, I was an enormous fan of films and TV shows. And I watched everything. I mean, if it was new and it was good, I watched it. If it was new and it was bad, I watched it to see how bad it was. If it was not new, I watched it. If it was old, I watched it. If it was as old as my grandma, I watched it. And on the very rare case where it was actually older than her, I watched it. Obviously, that's a lie. My grandma's not old at all, but you get the point. I even watched foreign films. Like, I wouldn't even know what the hell these people were saying. Probably didn't know what happened in them. But I'd like the angles, see what the cinematography was, what the facial expressions were, and I would just kind of enjoy the art of it, so to speak. But the last 5 years or so, especially the last 2, but even like the last 5, I don't get to watch much anymore. You know, it's the same old excuses. The life's too busy, got too much going on, I'm trying to build this, whatever. Don't have time for a lot, and I miss it. I don't even know what's good or what's not anymore out there. I do know there's a little bit too much content, and some of it's got to be shit, but just I'm not up with it. Furthermore, I've also found myself in fewer and fewer conversations where I'm talking about films and TV shows, where I'm really shooting the shit on the good stuff, or fighting over the good old fights of what was great where other people think it was bad, and vice versa. So on this podcast, as you know, I bring in people from across culture to discuss all different types of subject matters. And naturally, I felt like we needed a films and TV shows podcast. And boy, did my guest deliver. I am joined in the bunker today by my friend Jackson Hollowell. Jackson and his fiancée Alex have had an Instagram films and TV shows blog for the last 3 or 4 years, and it is fucking terrific. It's Flixx and Flixx. So the first Flixx is spelled like Flixx. The second one is spelled with an X instead of a CKS. And they cover everything, man. I mean, they have every piece of content where basic cameras and lighting were going on and a few $5 producers were actually there collecting it. They got it. So Jackson came in, and I'm looking at my note sheet here. If you're watching and now listening, you can see my chicken scratch here. I had to stop taking notes of all the things we talked about in here. This was the highest octane conversation I've had. We covered every single genre and creed of films and TV shows that you can. I mean, it's almost like, what did we not talk about? I'll start reading it off so that you get an idea, but there's something in here for everyone. The Dark Knight, Ben Affleck's Batman, Christian Bale, Godfather 1, 2, and 3, Entourage, The Sopranos, Scorsese, The Departed, Goodfellas, The Irishman, The Chronicle, Al Pacino, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Stranger Things, South Park, Bourne Trilogy, The Town, Homeland, Dexter, Daredevil, The Punisher, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Patriot Day, 30 Rock, Marlon Brando, Robert Downey Jr., Tropic Thunder, Family Guy, The Rock, Tenet, Hans Zimmer, Heath Ledger's Joker, Saved by the Bell, Phillip Seymour-Hoffman, Ides of March, Green Book, Jake Gyllenhaal, Sex and the City, Chris Evans, Finding Hitler, Hunters, A Star is Born, Brad Cooper, Lady Gaga, Reign of Fire, The Reconnaissance, True Detective, Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, Ozark, Steve Carell, The Big Short, Tupac. I think I skipped 40 of them on that list alone, and then there's a lot I skipped from that list, so there's a lot in here. If you like movies, if you like TV shows, you're going to like this one. Thank you to Jackson for coming in. We'll definitely do this again. I loved it. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, and leave a like and comment on this video if you have a second, please. And obviously, really excited about the community we're building there. That's starting to actually grow, and been posting clips every single day. Gives a nice taste of the podcast. So to everyone who's bought in early, thank you. Also, if you haven't left a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, I'd really appreciate it if you take a second to do that. To all the people who have, I say it every week, they're amazing. Thank you. It's a huge help, and the compliments on there are pretty awesome. Very humbling, too. So thank you. That said, you know what it is. I'm Julian Dorey, and this is TRENDIFIER. Let's go! This is one of the great questions in our culture. Where is the nuance? You're giving opinions and calling them facts. You feel me? Everyone understands this, but few seem to do it. If you don't like the status quo, start asking questions. That's where I want to get to, but you see people like, bro, you go to Miami?
I've been to Miami.
Yeah. You go to Miami?
It's a good time.
There's a lot of more people down there now. Mm-hmm. I don't know that you're coming back. Like, you see, you got to stay in Miami for spurts.
Okay.
If you lay down your tracks in Miami for like a month or two, you're lost.
Yeah. I mean,
gone.
One of my closest buddies like just moved down in the Fort Lauderdale area.
Fort Lickerdale.
Fort Lickerdale.
That's the 6th podcast that's happened. Shout out Pinnock.
Shout out Pinnock. Ah, Pinnock. Pinnock, good guy. Yeah, man. He moved down to Florida, and like he loves it down there, and I hope he comes back because he's one of my best buddies. But like for right now, I don't see it happening. But he tells me he's happy down there. We're just saying he's living it up in glorious California of Florida.
The Magic Johnson meme. I ain't gonna be here.
Nope.
That's it. I'm gone. I'm gone. But let's get to the movies.
Let's do it.
That's what I got you in here for. So
let's do it.
First, because there's a lot of COVID questions about this too, because you're a purist. That's what I like. You're not just like some guy who like says, "Oh, this is the show of the week." Like you live for this shit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
First, explain Flixx and Flix, what you're doing. You've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
So I like this. I also think it should be way bigger than it is, because I don't know that I've ever seen any two people, because it's you and your fiance, watch as many things and as many pieces of quality content too that you guys do.
Yeah. So when you had asked me when I had started this, I couldn't believe that. I was just like, wow, it was back in 2018 when we started doing this. When it really started though, was probably about 2017 area. Like I kept on Snapchat, like back when Snapchat like first developed the stories, like I would always post what I was watching, and some people were just like, dude, why the hell are you doing this? But then I had some other people, including like somebody like Shenanigans, who would hit me up and be like, yo, I love this show. Like, and we'd just be talking about it. I was just like, that's what I love. Start the conversation. Like you're all about that. Just start the let's have the conversation. So I was just like, I remember I was not a huge TV person until I met my fiance. She has introduced me to most of the major TV shows, because as a kid, I was always playing sports. So like watching movies was easy, but watching the long forward television was hard. So she got me really into rewatching TV shows.
I was certain you were going to the NBA. It's still a shame to this day. But,
to the NBA?
You know, either way.
NBA, well, stop growing at like, I got to 6'2" at the 6th grade, and then I just stopped. Never developed a real jump shot.
Sucks when that happens.
Yeah. So then it just got to the point we were literally just having dinner with each other, and we're just like, you know what? People just keep asking us for recommendations and stuff. Why don't we just like put a blog together or whatever? And it was like at a time when everybody was just like on Instagram and everything. So we're just like, if we just make an Instagram page and we just post like little reviews, little just like blurbs being like, hey, like check this show out. You've never heard of it. I promise you'll enjoy it. Or just be like, dude, don't even bother with this one. It sucks. And then for me, I love movie trailers. I just love trailers in general. Like I love getting ready for that next one. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to start posting trailers for stuff too, because I feel like people are gonna they're gonna read the reviews if they want, but like the trailers is kind of where it gets people hooked in. Like I had a good friend of mine saying like, dude, I'll sometimes just go to your page and like I'll just watch like the latest 10 trailers that you posted, and I just realized that an hour went by, and I was like, good, I'll happily take the
welcome to TikTok.
Yeah, welcome to TikTok. Luckily, I have not gone down the TikTok trend, but I have gone down a few reels where you just like been watching people's reels for like 2 hours. But that's pretty much how it started. And God, almost like 3 years later, we're still doing it. Like we just like talking about shit.
Yeah.
And the best part about doing it is now that whenever we see people in person, they just be like, oh yeah, you guys are like the movie TV people. Like they just go right into it. And I'm like, I just met you, but we already just had a 30-minute conversation talking about so-and-so. And not only that, but in that 30 minutes I've gathered a time of who you are, like just based on like what you're watching and stuff. It's like, it's helped me like just be able to talk and reach out to people. And it's also like, I haven't seen you in 5 years, and I'm so happy that we're doing this because we'll have a chance to talk about stuff. It's opened up that kind of opportunity, which I really loved about it.
Yeah, and you guys are pretty much, as you said, like on Instagram. You build a nice little following there. But I want to see you go beyond there as well, because I think you guys have hit a nice niche here, because you don't. There are people who do this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
there's plenty who are out there, but you guys put everything on there. I mean, like I hate Instagram stories. I only do them because literally, like I have to for this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I actually go through your stories because I'm always like, wait, what is that? And I'm so behind. The last couple of years, I was such a content buff growing up and knew every fucking thing. The last couple of years, I never watch anything. So I'm like, what's even out there? Like, what's going on? So you're kind of keeping me in the loop there. But it's really impressive, man.
And that's what I love about this. What you can do with the stories is like, like I'm following a lot of the major like movie, TV news outlets, and they have a story come up, somebody cast in something, whatever. You put it on the story, you put up a poll, people like react to it, and like I've been shocked by the amount of people that have actually like reacted to like polls I've been out, and they'd be like, oh man, I guess there is a little bit of a following. That's great. But it's always the people reaching out the most, asking, hey, I've watched 2 episodes of this show. I'm not really into it. Do you have any like idea about going? I'll be like, yeah, like I'm 2 more episodes in. Just give it another chance. Keep going. I'd be like, nah, you can stop. But like, I just like having the conversation with somebody, because especially when it comes to like major franchises and stuff, there's always divide, and I live in that divide. Like I love being in the gray area and listening to both sides, because like people can just be absolute extremists, as you know. And I think that no, not at all. But that's been the best part about doing this, is just like listening to the conversations that I had and just getting an idea of what people like and what people hate. And because they're like, when people hate on something, especially now in today's internet world, like they tell you how much they hate it.
Oh yeah.
The backlash and everything, and the fan divides. Like I feel like the fan divides thing has been the real thing.
What are some of the worst ones you've seen?
Like when it's people fighting between what's better, like the Marvel movies or the DC Comics movies. That's probably the biggest one. The biggest one came though when like people reacted to. Did you see like I don't know what kind of a Star Wars guy you are.
I respect the fuck out of Star Wars.
Okay.
I am not a big Star Wars fan, but I mean, what George Lucas did there, I've seen most of the movies. Some of the recent ones I haven't seen, like maybe the last couple. Yeah. They're excellent, right? But it's the same thing like Lord of the Rings. I don't go and watch the Lord of the Rings for fun. I've seen them all. I've probably seen a couple of them 2 times. They're excellent. Yeah. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but you know.
Yeah, anyway. but like I know that when the second movie came out, there was the episode 7, The Last Jedi, that was the biggest fan divide. People were saying like, how could you do this to Luke Skywalker? You've had 35 years of people just coming up with stories on the playground of pretending to be Luke Skywalker. Now they're the older people who are being influential, and people just didn't like it. They didn't like what they did to the character. Like, and
what did they do to the character? I definitely didn't see.
Well, they made him just like this lonely hermit. And that he has literally thrown away his lightsaber. He's thrown away everything. He doesn't want to. He's separated himself from the Force, and he doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, that is not the character I know that would have been from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
No. But like when I saw it the first time, I remember just being like, all right, they went with it. And then I saw it again. I'm like, at that point, I was just like, okay, this is what they're doing with the character. Let's just watch it. And I think it's a good movie. But when it comes down as a good Star Wars movie, no. Yeah. No. So from like,
isn't George Lucas out of it now too?
He's out. So when Disney bought it, I believe they bought it back in like 2012. And it was right after they had recently purchased Marvel too. So like people were just like, Disney's really taking this place over. And they immediately went into production on episode 7. Like right off the bat, they signed Carrie Fisher, they signed Harrison Ford, they signed Mark Hamill, and everybody's just like, yes, we cannot wait to see all 3 of these people back on the screen again. Then did you ever see like the first one? Did you ever see The Force Awakens? That
Yep.
was, yeah. So then you're going through the movie. I'm like, I love that. I think that's a great. It's probably one of the better ones that they've made in the recent ones.
There's some of Harrison Ford's better movies too.
Yeah,
period.
Sure.
Like
sure.
he was excellent.
I mean, I'm a
those.
huge indie guy, and when it comes to that, even his Jack Ryan movies, I like. But like it was just like you had a chance to put these three characters back on the screen together, and they don't share the screen once. Once. Do you know how disappointing it is? And then when Carrie Fisher passed away, and you're just like, then now it's definitely never going to happen, and you're just like, I can't believe it. You had over 30 years to put stories together for these guys, and they rushed it. They didn't have a plan. But when I tell you now, Star Wars is a plan, and that is actually on TV now.
Really?
Yeah.
I know nothing about that.
Okay, so you know about The Mandalorian. Like
yes,
it's been talked about, and Jon Favreau, who everybody knows, like did Iron Man, pretty much helped get the Marvel universe.
Too.
Oh,
good actor too.
I just realized I literally said this to my fiance. I said Jon Favreau has lived the life I always wanted. He was a great actor. He then got into great directing. Now he's directing all of his nerd fandom that he's wanted to do his entire life. He's done everything I wish I could have done in my life. He did the first two Iron Man movies, and now he's behind this show.
Guy came from Swingers.
Swingers.
Yeah, you're right about
Swingers.
that.
I love Swingers.
He's underrated. He is really underrated.
He's very underrated. I was actually doing a recent Friends rewatch with my fiance because I actually never had seen it all the way through. Like I've just seen pretty much every episode, and Favreau was in it. I was like, I had no idea Favreau was in this show. And then I always think of Favreau and like The Replacements, when he's just like the crazy linebacker.
Dude, Favreau was in The Sopranos.
He was in The Sopranos. That's right.
Was everywhere.
He was in it as himself, I think.
Yeah,
right?
he was in it as himself, directing.
He was just
what was that? That was the episode where Chris was teaching him how to say bad words in Italian.
Yeah,
and they're like bukyak. They're like, what does bukyak mean? Yeah, we'll go with it.
Well, speaking of that, they're actually doing a prequel movie to The Sopranos.
The Many Saints of Newark.
The Many Saints of Newark. Good old Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
But Newark was completely different back in
during the
riots and all of that. So I'm really looking forward to that because I know like John Bernthal's in it, and like if you know John Bernthal,
I know John Bernthal well. Daredevil.
Daredevil. Yeah, he's the Punisher. The
Punisher.
He opened it. He opened in Daredevil.
Yep, he's the Punisher. And then what the hell is the one guy's name? He was Owen Schlater in Boardwalk Empire. He was Daredevil.
Charlie Cox.
Yeah,
Charlie Cox.
I liked both of those shows a lot.
Yeah, so I remember that was the reason why I got Netflix, was because they were releasing Daredevil back in 2015. I was like, this was the show that got me, and then eventually hooked on after. Yeah. But as I said, that was before
that was the drug.
That was the drug. That was it. That was the first free taste, and then it became really bad after. But I love those shows. But like, geez, I don't remember where we were starting, where this led. But
started with Star Wars. Going through the arguments around that.
Yeah, so let's go. It
was Mandalorian. We got down the rabbit hole.
We got there. All right, so we're talking about Jon Favreau and the Mandalorian. So this show is supposed to take place like a few years after Return of the Jedi. So like it's now like we have this 30-year gap that we have between episode 6 and episode 7. Like 7 being the newer of the sequel trilogy, whatever. And this show is literally just like complete fan service, as well as like, because they have great actors in there. They have like Pedro Pascal, Giancarlo Esposito, and what they did was at the end of the first season, there's a certain item that shows up that then takes it back to the show, to the animated shows, which have been huge. Because yes, if you didn't even know, Star Wars has animated shows that are beloved, that people now...
Oh, I did know that. That used to be on like Cartoon Network.
Yeah, the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So the Clone Wars was basically between episode 2, episode 3, and they took you through. And one of the creators behind that was also creator of this show. Brought in one of his famous characters, because what people don't even know is that Anakin Skywalker had, Darth Vader, but when he was younger, he had a Padawan, he had a student named Ahsoka Tano that was created in this show. And what Dave Filoni, the guy who created the show, then brought this character into live action, which has never been done before. And now this show is getting a whole new spinoff. So what they've done is they created this pocket, like sort of micro universe between these shows that are just going to be going forward. Interconnected shows, just like what Marvel does.
That's what I'm saying, and that gets a little confusing.
It
like
can
because
be.
they just and here's a big problem I have with modern day content creation. Like we saw the golden age come in where TV suddenly became high quality.
Yeah.
The Sopranos brought in that era where they put movies on TV
Yes.
and really HBO and having
HBO was the first to do it.
Right. So then you had The Wire come out of that, and it just kind of continued. But at some point here, I don't know, I can't necessarily tell you an exact year, but I started to notice where obviously when these companies are making a lot of money, they got to grow. They're public companies like a Netflix, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They got to keep creating content, and then it becomes a speed game.
Yep.
And so then they're creating a lot. And remind ourselves, like they have a lot more tools than they did 20 years ago making movies, right?
Completely.
Like, completely different. So all these things at their disposal, they can make shit to the blind eye look incredible.
Yeah.
What suffered, in my opinion, with all the content coming out is a lot of the storylines and the writing, and then even the acting, because look, great acting needs solid writing.
Of course.
You can't have a shit script. I mean, I could put fucking Marlon Brando, bring him back from the dead with Audrey Hepburn, and if you give him Geely, that movie's gonna suck. Like, that's what it is.
I feel like whenever it goes back to Ben Affleck sucking, it always goes back to Geely.
Yeah, he's another one. He had a real shift in his career. He was horrible for a long time, and now
I'm a
he's great.
huge Ben Affleck fan.
He's great.
Love Ben Affleck. Huge fan of his Batman, by the way. Big fan of it.
There's an unpopular opinion.
Actually, it's not as unpopular as you think.
Really? So this is another one.
Let's go right into it. Who is your Batman? Because this is every person's question growing up if you're a fan of this character.
It's not Michael Keaton. I'll start there.
It's not Michael Keaton. So I'm going to naturally say it's Christian Bale.
It's Christian Bale.
It's Christian Bale. I will always say that Christian Bale.
Jackson.
Where were the other drugs? Where are they? But yeah, but I mean, like, I grew up on Keaton. Keaton was like, he was the only Batman at the time, back when they were like making a superhero movie every 10 or 15 years ago, back in the dark ages.
And you liked him as Batman?
I
was your
loved
guy?
his Batman. I did not like his Bruce Wayne. Because
he had such that, hey, how are you?
Yeah, because this is the thing about Batman, is that there's two separate people. There's Batman, there's Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Bruce Wayne is the facade. He's always Batman. And what I love about Ben Affleck is that when Ben Affleck was portraying his Bruce Wayne, he was acting like he was doing the fake drunk walk around and whatever. And all of a sudden, as soon as somebody comes out of the room, like, he goes right back into being Batman. And he was the first person, I think, to do it right, live action wise.
You don't think Bale did it right?
I wasn't the biggest fan of Bale's Bruce Wayne. I'll be honest. I wasn't I wasn't the biggest fan, because I also didn't think we didn't get a lot of time with it too. Like, they burned his house down in the first movie, and then the second movie is just so long, but there's so much other stuff going on besides Bruce Wayne. And the third one's just like, he lost all of his money. Now he's got to go get himself out of that huge hole in the middle of nowhere. But I don't know. That's also just my opinion. But I know there's
fair.
a lot of people.
We're going to throw out a lot of opinions today. I like this. This
the
is
comments.
good.
The comments are going to be going. That's all it matters. Because, man, the DC movies right now have probably the biggest fan base divide ever. So, like, are you familiar with any of the current, like, DC Comics
Give
movies?
me some of them.
So, like it all started because, like, back after The Dark Knight Rises, when they just said, we're going to do Marvel's thing. We're going to create the universe. So, like, the Man of Steel came out, the first Superman movie, and that came out right after I graduated college, like 2013 area.
That was a dog shit movie.
You hate that movie? See, I love that movie.
Oh, God.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, is the divide. That movie, I know it can be very divisive, but I believe it's definitely one of the better ones.
That dude looked like a wax figure. That's the problem. Like, his hair looked
Superman's
like it was
very
wax.
tough. I think Superman's a very tough character to crack, just because he's the most powerful thing in the world. But
Christopher Reeve also set the standard there, and you had Marlon Brando as his dad. That's hard to follow up.
It's so funny that you bring up Christopher Reeve
Shout out,
right now.
Marlon.
Yeah, it's so funny that you bring up Christopher Reeve and Marlon Brando right now, because on my way down driving here, I was watching a YouTube channel, Mr. Sunday Movies, and he was talking about.
You were watching a YouTube channel while you were driving.
Well, it was playing in the back. I wasn't watching. Though some of my friends are looking at me right now going, he was watching. And they were talking about just like how Christopher Reeve just nails the dual personality, once again, of Superman and Clark Kent. Like, Clark Kent is the facade. He's always Superman. and how Christopher Reeve just had that charisma and that charm whenever he was both of the characters. He understood that there was two separate characters constantly fighting at battle with each other. And I love Henry Cavill, who's the current Superman. Shout out. He's on the shirt here. But I love Henry Cavill. We haven't had a chance to be with him as much, which I'm hoping that we see more of him. And this is now leading into then the second movie, which is probably the biggest divisive movie ever, which is Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
Did you see Batman vs Superman?
I did.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think I watched half of it.
See, that's great because, like, I'm
I
assuming
was
you
probably
saw.
texting the whole time.
I'm sure you were.
I was not in it.
Did
at
you
all.
see it in the theater?
No.
No, you saw it later.
Bro, and we'll talk about theaters later. I love the theater. Can't tell you the last
obsessed with
time I
theater.
was in there.
Oh, God. And the last time I was in there, I had a mask on seeing that new Kevin Costner movie, Let Him Go, which is funny because Costner is Henry Cavill's dad in Man of Steel. But yeah, completely different experience now. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Back to the DC.
Yeah, back to the
bubble that was
DC.
forming.
Which shout out to my buddies Steve Burke and Matt Trainer. They made sure that I had to go into this topic. Don't worry, guys. We're in the shirt. But this is the most divisive movie ever. But I remember there was the theatrical cut of it where it was only like 2 hours long. Like the studio going into studio interference and all that.
Hate that.
Hate it so much. So eventually, like, I saw the theatrical cut, hated it, did not like it. I was like, why is Superman in the movie for 15 minutes? And he was. I was like, where is his backstory at all? There was nothing. And it turns out they left over 30 minutes on the cutting room floor. And I'm like, 30 minutes? That's a whole nother movie.
This is why TV shows are winning.
Well, and this is getting into where I'm coming from. Then they eventually release it, like, on Blu-ray and stuff, and they release this version, and people love the movie a lot more with that extra 30 minutes back in. The story makes sense, and it's a different take. I got no lie. I grew up on these characters. I love these characters. But then you go into Justice League, which is the movie. Well, first Wonder Woman came out after, and then it went into, and then Suicide Squad. We don't even need to go into that one. But then, like, Justice League came out, and there was this whole troubling issue with the whole creation of it. Like first Zack Snyder, who directed those first two movies, was directing it, and then they asked for rewrites because people hated the movie. So then they rewrote it, then they shot it, then they said, hey, we need to do some reshoots. They reshoot most of the movie again, and then they say, oh, we're gonna kind of kick you off the project. They used his excuse of his daughter passing away, saying like, hey, he's stepping away.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're gonna bring in Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon, if you don't know, he directed like the first two Avengers movies, known for like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and that kind of stuff, deep into comic lore. He comes in, do the reshoots, and this is when Henry Cavill's mustache comes into play. Do you remember this story?
No.
So he was shooting the latest Mission Impossible movies, which love those movies. He has this massive mustache, and then they have to go in for more reshoots, and Paramount's like, no, you can't let him shave his mustache. So they have to go in, reshoot his scenes as Superman, then they CGI his lip. Now,
come on.
Go on YouTube, watch his scenes where he has the CGI lip. It looks awful. Ugh. It looks absolutely terrible, and it was the biggest laughing stock ever. And then like the whole company just pretty much shift. But now what's coming out, and what this shirt is that Zack Snyder got a chance to then recut up his old movie, reshoot some new things, and they're going to release it on HBO Max as his original vision. I think in like mid-March. We're supposed to be getting a new trailer for it on Sunday.
So they went back to...
They went back. Like Ben Affleck even came out and said he was done at Batman. And then he came back and reshot the scenes because he loved doing the stuff with Zack Snyder.
Now, this is an important point that a lot of people don't talk about with movies, because everyone loves movies, or most people do, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who know a lot about movies, but we don't pay attention to the process of the directors nearly enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
Since the beginning of time with movies, what these great directors go through to get their vision done is not just like, oh, artistically, here's how I want to see it. This is what I want to do. No. They're dealing with corporations.
Oh, yeah.
They're dealing with companies that are like, well, no, that's going to cost $10. Fuck you. I mean, the greatest story, in my opinion, of all time of a director just dying to make his film is Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, yeah.
And you could make the argument on Apocalypse Now, which is another one of his movies. That's a whole separate story.
That the documentary of making Apocalypse Now is actually better than the movie?
Probably. Yeah.
No, it is.
And
I've seen it.
Still, though.
Yeah.
Like, that whole vision he had there, that was insane. I mean, probably a lot of acid trips and everything, too. But
Definitely.
still, 1971, when they were doing The Godfather, that's the greatest movie of all time. It is a perfect film. I have seen that movie more than I would care to admit. I haven't watched it in 2 years. Like, we always have it on the background on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
So that's like your Christmas movie is The Godfather in the background?
I have made a point of not really listening to the audio.
I love obscure Christmas movie watching with like a family. Like, I love that.
Just in the background. It's like a tradition. But, you know, I've done that so that I can fucking enjoy the shit out of it again, because I've probably seen that movie 400 times.
That's
I
amazing.
believe in America. America is where made my fortune. I raised my daughter. Dude, I could do the whole fucking movie for you. But to make that film was brutal. It was actually like the worst memory of his life.
I mean, so many butting heads between the actors. You keep mentioning Brando. Like, Brando is considered like the worst when it comes to people.
He was the worst.
The worst.
But
rest in peace, but the worst.
He and Frank Coppola got along.
That's good.
And the whole thing was the studio said, Martin, you know how in the movie he goes, Johnny Fontaine never gets that movie. That's what they were saying. They're like, Marlon Brando never gets that movie.
Love that.
But the way they did it was Coppola was, first of all, he wanted Pacino. And he saw this, Michael is this dark-haired Sicilian kid with eyes that could kill you.
Yeah.
They wanted fucking Martin Sheen. They wanted Robert Redford. Like, great actors.
Yeah,
don't get me
of
wrong.
course.
Could you imagine Robert Redford in the goddamn restaurant?
No.
Like, staring down Salazzo?
No.
Like, you see this Sicilian off the boat.
Just realizing what your shirt is right now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, dude. You see this Sicilian off the boat, like, first generation, just, I'm going to fucking kill you because you tried to kill my dad, dude, staring him down. Like Al Pacino, shout out to the GOAT. You know, making this scene. And then I think of, like, Jeremiah fucking Johnson at the table staring down Salazzo. Could you imagine if the studio, the guys crunching numbers there, let that happen?
No, I mean, and this is what happens in the studio game, which is one of the things I love. Like, you watch Entourage.
Every episode.
Oh man, I think I probably rewatch that like every 2 summers.
That's incredible.
But like it literally shows you what it's like being inside, and you're in that, having that talk in that studio. And at one point, like, Vince sits down and he talks to the head of Warner Brothers. And they have that whole butting heads, and I'm like, I can't imagine what this actually happened in real life. So like, and this is what happened. So they took Zack Snyder off this movie. They released this whole new fucking terrible thing. Everybody hated it. I remember buying it when it came out and rewatching it 20 minutes with my buddy Jimmy, and we literally just look at each other. We just said, we can't do this anymore. This sucks.
Because he had a vision and it was stripped from him.
He had a vision, and that's what people like weren't really behind the vision he was going with. He was going for this darker storyline. People were just like, well, where are the jokes? Where's the Marvel aspect of it? And they're just like, that's not what he's going for. He's going for, if Superman was a real person, how would the world react?
It's also hard, though.
It's very hard.
It's already
very hard.
But it's even harder though today, because even look at like Marvel and everything. They do the TV shows
now. They do.
Like, right now they do.
Now
right?
they do.
Like I loved The Punisher. John Bernthal as the Punisher was fucking incredible.
I love those shows.
It was this slow burn, right?
Yeah.
And you got to know this guy. And then I remembered the original Punisher. I never forget the actor's name who played it.
Thomas Jane.
Okay, Thomas Jane with John Travolta. Some people hated that movie. I loved that. I thought it was a great film.
I have a few buddies that they love that movie. I actually rewatched it not too long ago. Like, the scene where they kill his entire family is just fucking nuts.
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But now you see it in more modern day with a full TV show and a full backstory,
It's awesome.
and you're in.
Yeah,
you're like,
you're just locked in.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Whereas these movie directors, like, I thank God every day that The Godfather wasn't made today.
Yeah.
Because people wouldn't appreciate it the same. These movie directors are required to tell this incredible arc of a story and get you invested in all these characters until the end of time.
Yeah.
When you rewatch this movie and over and over again in 120 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why I love when I find out when a director is like either a producer or a writer behind the movie, because I'm like,
Scorsese.
or a Scorsese. Like, come on, favorite Scorsese movie? What is it right now?
My favorite Scorsese movie is Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, all right.
Yes.
I would normally
got
say
a lot,
Yeah,
but
I would normally say Goodfellas as well, but I love The Departed. I think The
1B.
Departed is probably one of the most quotable things that me and my friends will go into the Boston accent of doing The Departed all the time.
You
Very
know what?
terrible.
I gotta be a hypocrite for a second.
Go for
Because
it.
we did talk about this with I don't know, somebody, maybe like several episodes ago. I think I have come around, and The Departed is my all-time favorite of his.
Yeah.
It's just very hard for me to not say Goodfellas is, because Goodfellas is a perfect movie.
Yeah, it is.
The Departed's a perfect movie.
Yeah, it is. Like everything coming full circle with just the little rat just on the end there.
Are you a cop?
You a cop?
Are you a fucking cop?
Not a fucking cop. And that, like, literally that's 30 minutes with my friends on the phone, like right there, just doing that. But also love The Wolf of Wall Street. Like
Wolf
great.
of Wall Street, but The Departed, like
it.
they came. I mean, that was based on a movie from Japan too,
Yeah,
Infernal Affairs or something.
yeah.
William Monahan wrote. I don't know if you ever read that script. It's fucking incredible.
Not much of a reader, as you can tell.
dude. Well, if you like entertaining writing once in a while, I mean, it's just entertaining as fuck reading that, and then you see the movie while you're doing it. It's incredible. But there's so many, like, that's another one where they found a way to put the narrative in it. But guess what? Scorsese made it 168 minutes or 169 minutes or something because he can.
Yeah.
And so you get those scenes where he's like, Frank,
Yeah.
Frank, am I a fucking cop? Do you think I'm crazy being a fucking cop? Like,
God, I fucking
there's
love
all
Leo.
these little things that they could do in there that it's like, that would be on the cutting room floor if some
Definitely.
asshole in a suit were coming in and saying, like, you know, yeah, no, that's out.
I mean, and that's why, like you have Scorsese, like nobody's gonna get in Scorsese. Like they wanted to say, Scorsese, you can't have oh God, why am I blanking now on the Netflix movie that just came out that was like 4.5 hours? Yeah, The Irishman. The Irishman.
was a big fuck you.
They said we need this movie to be 2 hours and you can't, and like we'll have to get younger actors to do it. And Scorsese just said, no, sorry,
Not doing it.
No, sorry, Paramount, sorry, Warner Brothers. Netflix is willing to put up $250 million to make this. But that's Scorsese. Like now, all these young directors, they have to first they make like a great indie movie, and then the second movie is always some franchise movie, and that second movie is the make or break for them. Because if that movie fails, you're done, over. Like I know, like one of the bigger ones recently was. Did you ever see the movie Chronicle?
No.
Wait, that was
I
like
don't
one of
even
the
know what
found.
that is.
It's like one of those found footage type movies where like the kids have like they develop. Michael B. Jordan's in it. Who I love, Michael B. Jordan.
When was this? When did this come out? The Chronicle?
Chronicle,
that
just Chronicle. First movie, came out like 2011, 2012 area. But then that director would then go on to direct like that awful Fantastic Four movie, and basically his career just goes downhill from there. But like, which is terrible. Like that sucks for somebody who's like they've given up like their whole life to pursue this career, and they didn't really get a chance outside of the second movie that probably their agent said you have to do this movie. Yeah.
Well, I see it, and by the way, I judge movies on this right away.
Sure.
Like I'm looking at this Chronicle right behind you because
Go for it.
I literally have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
I've never seen this. 83 minutes. And again, it's coming out in 2012. That's when TV's already getting big. It's maybe not to the full Netflix area yet, but still, how do you compete? I'm going to know the characters in 83 minutes? No, I'm not.
No, I mean that's why I said like the TV generation. That's why I said Star Wars is now coming to TV.
Yeah.
And Marvel's doing it too. And you want to know what the best part about what they're doing is? They're making it weekly episodes. I'm a huge fan of like the binge, like love it. But when an episode comes out once every Friday, it builds up that suspense, that water cooler talk. Like people are like, yo, did you see this new episode of WandaVision last night? My mind is totally blown. You have a week now to just stir in that episode. And then the next episode comes out and it starts the conversation over again.
We were still doing that with, and I got to take this one on the chin.
Sure.
This is one I never watched. I couldn't get into it. I watched like a couple episodes, couldn't do it.
Oh, please
But
don't say what I think you're going to say.
we were all doing it. Not including me. Yeah. We're all doing it with Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
And that was very recently.
Okay.
You know, there was still that, and you know, I think those episodes were like a half hour long or something.
No, they shuffle. You can get like a little over an hour to like 45, 50 minutes.
Okay, so either way, they're not like 2 hours long, whatever.
They're dense.
Yeah, but they're coming out once a week, and it was still.
It was the biggest show on TV.
Dude,
biggest show ever.
It still proved to me that there is still an appreciation of that in a sense.
Yes.
Which surprises me because
it's just now on streaming.
What was the first TV show you binged where it was a TV show that came out all at once?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think probably Daredevil. Like that first season of Daredevil when I got Netflix, because I never thought about binging. Binging to me back in the day was I had like a DVD of like the 2 seasons of it. Like I remember probably the first thing I ever binge watched was and it's what brought the show back, was Family Guy. Like Family Guy, like they released those 3-volume set of like those first couple of seasons and they killed it. They killed it. Like I remember, like they killed it in the DVD sales. They brought the show back. I remember they rip on it in the first episode back. Oh yeah, we'll be back as long as like Greg the Bunny gets canceled. They probably list like 100 shows, just classic Family Guy. That was one of the ones. And yeah, like I'm really into the binging. Like when like Stranger Things comes out, like me and my fiance, we're binging that. Like we're not going to sleep. We're watching the whole thing. But then when you got a show like The Mandalorian, or you got the show like The Boys, like, do you know what The Boys is on Amazon?
No idea what The Boys is.
Oh my God. It's as if superheroes were truly real.
Oh wait, I did see
with
some
like
of
the
that.
commercial
Yes. No,
aspect of it. It would have been my show of the year. I put my rankings out every New Year's year. It would have been my show of the year if it wasn't for The Mandalorian season 2 and a certain character coming back. But I love The Boys. Everybody get out there, watch The Boys. But but that's another show where in the first season it was a bingeable thing. I remember I didn't watch it originally. I watched it a couple months later and I binged it. And then the second season came out and they changed it up. They said, we're going to do weekly episodes. And then people are just talking about it throughout that week. So now these streaming services are like, yeah, certain shows are bingeable, but then there's other shows that we want people to be talking about it. Especially when now you have WandaVision, the new Marvel show, and 2020 didn't have a single Marvel thing since not till 2019, since the last Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
So like people went a year and a half without this. And it was something that was probably the biggest thing in movie right now. But they're just like, hey, we're going on TV.
I'm a binge guy.
Go for it.
I'm going to be honest. I think it probably started, you could say, with The Sopranos, because I was a little too young when The Sopranos was out.
So was I.
And so then I remember they had it on A&E like right away.
Okay.
And I saw the scene with Big Pussy on the boat, and I was like, what is this? As I had seen, the last episode was like on TV.
Can I sit down, Tony? Is it all right? Can I sit here?
I'm having trouble breathing.
I'm having a little trouble breathing. He was such a good character.
Oh my God.
He was a sad one to see go.
So sad. But I watched that because I had seen like a little bit of the last episode. Because it was like on TV, but like it wasn't really like there watching it.
Yeah.
So then I see this scene on A&E. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, like I binged that entire thing. It was 86 episodes. I was like 13 years old, 12 years old, whatever. I watched the whole fucking thing. And I would do that with a lot of shows. And then I remember when Netflix first was doing this, they had House of Cards.
Yes.
And so
that was the first one, was House of Cards. Yes.
Dude, I'll never forget that. I had a crazy New Year's Eve, who doesn't? And was hungover as fuck.
Yep.
Drove home from wherever the hell I woke up, and it was probably like, I don't know, 11 a.m. or something. I'm like, I am good for nothing today. Oh, you know what? Let me try this show everyone's been talking about. I was up at fucking 4 a.m. finishing that shit.
That's exactly what happened with me in the first season of Thrones. Hungover, watched the whole first season in a day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I don't, and now, I mean, we were talking before this, I may have said this on the podcast too. The last couple of years, uncharacteristically, I haven't watched fucking anything. Okay. Like, I make sure I watch Better Call Saul.
Great show.
But again, I wait till it's done and it comes to Netflix like a year later. Okay. Like I'm a year behind on it at all times.
I can't do that. I can't risk being spoiled. That's just me.
I guess there are a lot of assholes out there.
There are
I never think
plenty of assholes, especially now. Like I almost got spoiled on a show that came out on a Friday, like at like 12 o'clock, like Pacific time. And then you wake up at 7 a.m. People have watched it and they're already posting shit about it. I'm like, I got to be off the internet for a day now.
Well, you're also in the industry too. Like you're in the middle of all of it.
I'm in the industry.
Yeah, you're getting spoiled like crazy. Whereas I'm not going and looking for that. Like I don't even go to Twitter and type in Better Call Saul, you know? No. So I'm not as worried about that. But I get it, because that ruins shit.
Yeah.
But I'd have to think of an example, but there are definitely some shows where I knew how it ended and then like watched it.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't ruin it. I mean, technically part of The Sopranos was that, because like
that's true.
You see that scene with Pussy. Sorry for anyone that hasn't watched the show, but you should have at this point.
When it comes to spoilers, if a show has been out for over 5 years, like whatever. When it comes to spoilers in general, I'm like, if it comes to a movie, I give people like a month. Like if they haven't seen it, like I won't talk about it. But if you haven't seen it in the first month, that you weren't interested in seeing it. Like and
that's a high standard.
That's my standard.
That's the Jackson Hollowell standard.
The Jackson Hollowell standard. But like when it came to Game of Thrones, and went with me and my buddies, we had a rule that if it came out Sunday night, we weren't allowed to talk about it till Tuesday. Because I know some people just couldn't see it Sunday, so we gave them Monday. But like that Monday, we'd be texting each other, we'd be like, "Dude, can you just fucking watch it already? Like Jesus, like I want to talk about this thing." But yeah, it's tough to avoid spoilers, especially with some that happened in The Mandalorian that I don't want to spoil for you. Because I want you to watch this, but I want you to watch that. But yeah, I mean, the binge model is an interesting model for sure. I think it definitely fits a lot more with people today because they just want their shit now. Just got to eat it up. But then like it stops being talked about a week later.
That is an important point because we are. I think we brought this up earlier and went down some pathway on it, but we are so desensitized to new content that even the most exciting, awaited content that comes out, when it comes out all at once, then the next thing's coming, right? Exactly. Whereas when you have that weekly model, like people were talking about Game of Thrones, the final season, I guess it was like 8 episodes. That was it. Yeah, that was it for like 8-9 weeks there, whatever it was.
You just said Game of Thrones final season, and you brought me back to a few bad memories, unfortunately.
Yeah, but still, like that was the talk.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? So it had staying power.
And that's what they're sort of kind of bringing back again. Like, because they're just like, look, we have a streaming platform. We could put this out whenever we want. We don't, like, everybody's like, we want it all now. But then you don't realize that you love more the build-up. That's what makes a show. That's what makes you remember it.
Yes.
Like, that's what makes it. Because, like, you watch Stranger Things in a day, and you're not talking about it in, like, 2 weeks or so. People forgot about it.
I waited for The Irishman for 13 years. Like, and actually, that's another great example, too. Of you were talking about Scorsese's vision and how ironclad he was on it. Half the reason he had to do the CGI to all these actors is because they had this movie 13 years ago that they wanted to do, and no one would let him do it.
No, we would let him do it.
And then he was waiting for someone to let him do it. And he said, well, you know, they got a little old. Still want to use them. But yeah, I mean, we have such a buildup of things coming out because of the binging.
Yeah.
Right? So that... I think we talked about this too. Like we're all over the place.
Doesn't matter. We can go all over the place.
Fuck it. But
this is my daily conversation anyway.
But
I'm
you know, because of that, there's so much choice out there, and there's so much shit.
Oh yeah.
Writing shit.
Yep.
I won't even go to the actors on some of them because again, like bad script, you're fucked before you even start.
Only really amazing actors can turn a true shitty script into something.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's. Maybe Corona will accidentally fix some of that. Sure. Because, and I don't know much about this, I'm sure you're more well in tune, but obviously they shut down production for a while there.
Yep.
And they resumed it on a lot of cases, but how much longer is it? Yeah. Like how many things got cut? Do you know percentages or like what's happening out there?
I don't know percentages. Well, the only thing I do know is that like Netflix, they had like at one point they had put like $8 billion into their new content creation, like $8 billion. And
that's everything.
TV
and shows,
that's like everything, all of it. Like we just like, they just, because they realized, hey, look, we got to spend like $500 million just to keep The Office on. Like The Office, like the #1 show on any streaming platform, like Netflix for years. The Office. It doesn't matter if a new show came out. The Office was always #1. Mm-hmm. And that would cost them so much money that like they literally couldn't afford to keep it on. So that's why they started slashing prices. Meanwhile,
how much did The Office cost them?
I mean, like I don't know how much The Office, but like I know like HBO Max bought South Park for like $500 million. Yeah, this is
one shot.
Just that's it.
So they don't have to pay anymore.
Like I'm pretty sure like they just will now just have South Park on HBO Max going forward. And like I'm sure there's probably renegotiation talks that happen. But like I think they had to spend $1 billion on Friends to steal Friends. And like think about it. Netflix has to pay $1 billion just to keep one show on. And then they have Friends, The Office. That's why they're not on there anymore. Yeah. But now they're reinvesting their money to create as much original content. Because now eventually we're going to go to Netflix. There's not going to be anything else on there besides original content.
That's what I'm saying, though. Have they even pulled back on that, though, with Corona? Like has Corona forced them to say, nope, we had 10 projects there, now we have 5?
Yes, they have cut many good shows.
Good.
Many good shows.
Not the good ones. I don't want to say good at the good ones.
There are good ones that got cut.
Like what got cut?
Like ones I was into was Glow, which was like had to do with like the female wrestlers. Yeah. That show is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to get a final season, and it won't anymore because they like the budget just won't happen. They got cut. Like that sucks. That was a pure cut from Corona. Like they were intending to do it, and then like they were like, nope, not gonna do it.
Anything else big?
There was actually one quality small show that had the best first season. Shockingly, it was called Teenage Bounty Hunters. It's about these two little girls in like North Carolina who eventually they're twins and they become bounty hunters. Like,
I'm thinking of a different one.
Yeah, you're definitely thinking. Trust me, not that many people have seen the show, but I suggest watching the first season. It ends on an awesome cliffhanger, and there won't be a season 2. And like that's the worst because they're like every single show has a fan base somewhere.
What about Mindhunter? That
like
was one I watched.
Mindhunter, I'm pretty sure I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's not coming back for season 3, or at least it's taking a while because David Fincher, who I think could be one of the best directors out there, directs every episode, writes it, and it's just like, look, I have other stuff I gotta do. Like we'll come back to this. And I know like the lead character Holden and Jonathan Groff, he's off doing other stuff, but
how does hold on a second. He's got other things to do, which implies that other projects are allowing him to go forward while Netflix is saying, no, we're not shooting this right now.
Well, yeah, we're not. And the
because of Corona?
No, just because like he's off doing other shit. Like he's got other passion projects and stuff. And then you got the actors who are on holding deals, and then eventually those years run out and they're no longer like that episode of Entourage where they keep Johnny Drama on a holding deal. Like they have that. Like it's stuff like that.
Bro, I'm not a baboon.
You know what?
It's not me.
You know what? They actually have a podcast, Victory the podcast. It's
come on.
It's the creator Doug Ellen, E, and Drama.
Come on.
And it's just them just going through the show again and just having people come on and just talking about how influential that show is. I don't think I've actually watched the episode. I think I watched just like the Instagram stories, but I'm just like, it's good to see Drama back.
I do gotta check that out.
I'm probably gonna rewatch that this summer, like just for the hell of it.
That was one though, by the way, and this is what worries me about The Sopranos. Now I like that The Sopranos waited a long time, and David Chase is a psycho, so I feel like it's gonna be done right.
Yeah.
But the Entourage movie was terrible.
It's a cameo. All it is an hour and a half long episode. That's it. That's all it is. Just cameo city.
The episodes were better.
Well, yeah, of course the episodes are better.
I mean, it was so bad. That's where it's like, don't do Godfather 3 because you have to. Yeah. You know, and like even that one. Godfather 3, if you just put the movie alone, there's a couple cringeworthy things in there. Sure. But it's a pretty good movie.
Pretty sure it was still nominated for Best Picture.
It was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
You put that next to you put that next to the 2 best movies of all fucking time?
Yeah, it sucks.
Dude, that's like putting, a middling pro in the ring with Ali. Like you don't do that. It's not going to work.
I love where you're going because this always leads to one of my favorite questions.
Do it.
Best trilogies of all time.
I mean, look, the obvious answer right away is The Godfather by default.
Yep.
I always have to put the asterisk of saying that you have to go in with the expectation that it is not consistent in that the first 2 movies are the 2 most perfect movies ever made and the third one is not.
Yep. No, sure.
So I do always I hate putting that, but I got to do it.
It's the knock on The Godfather that maybe doesn't put it on the top is that people don't like the third one. As you said, the third one is what it is, but for me it would always be the original trilogy of Star Wars just cuz.
Sure. Well, here's another question. When you say trilogy, does it mean movies that are only in 3s, or can we go beyond?
See, I keep Star Wars in it because like I'll always say like the Bourne trilogy. Like I won't talk about like the other spin-off one, and I won't talk about Jason Bourne because those first 3 movies are awesome.
And the spin-off was Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner.
Love Jeremy Renner.
Thought
he did a good job. It was an unwinnable battle.
Yeah. You're just going to be compared. That's all you're
can't be fucking Matt Damon as Jason Bourne. No. Like he could have come down as the second coming of Jesus Christ, an actor.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Wasn't going to work.
No, I'm a big fan of Jeremy Renner, especially The Hurt Locker and then The Town. Like The Town, he goes, "You grew up right here,
bro.
You grew up right here.
Right here. Right here." Dude, The Town.
Brendan Leahy, he was going to come up. He's going to lay you out.
The Town.
So I put him in the fucking ground.
let's talk about The Town.
Let's talk about The Town.
I saw The Town in the theater with my grandfather.
Awesome.
Okay.
Amazing.
It came out in like September. Those are always like the dark horse movies because like people aren't in the Oscar season yet.
Not just yet.
Right.
We're just on the outside. Ben Affleck as a director.
Right.
I liked Gone Girl.
He was the director too. I forgot about that.
I liked Gone Girl. Not Gone Girl. I liked Gone Baby Gone. But I don't know about this Ben Affleck guy.
But this was the pivot because
he was pivot.
Bad for a lot of years there,
yeah.
and then he had made Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah.
And then there was one or two others he had made that were like good, and it's like, oh my God, is Ben Affleck a good actor? You're like rethinking life.
Yeah.
So I see this movie, The Town, and I see it's about Charlestown, the robberies and shit, and my grandpa's like, all right, let's pick a movie. I'm like, let's give it a go.
Let's go with The Town.
And we go in there, and we both walked out. My grandpa's like, let's rob a fucking bank. I'm like, let's go.
And that's what people say. It's a 101 on how to rob banks.
Dude.
That movie.
Dude. The thing about that movie is people liked it that actually watched it when it came into theater. Then it came out on DVD, and then the noise got a little louder, and people really liked it.
Yeah.
Then Renner was nominated for the Oscar,
Yep.
and whatever, and people were like, oh, okay. And then like a year later, people were like, wow, yeah, you ever seen The Town start to become a cult thing?
Oh yeah.
And then it came to Netflix at some point, and then people were like, oh, The Town. It's like wine, dude. And now it's like you bring up The Town, people are like, yo, that's a top 3 movie of all time for me.
I mean, that's the power of Netflix, is as it has the ability for people who've never seen a movie or a show that's on some network that they never heard of and allows a chance. And the biggest example of that is Schitt's Creek. The TV show Schitt's Creek. That's the one with Eugene Levy, American Pie and everything. And his son star in it. And it's also with the mom from Home Alone. Like, Kevin! My fiance's favorite movie, Home Alone. She'd be mad if I didn't mention. She'd be mad if I didn't mention that. But this is a show that's on the network Pop TV. Nobody knows what it is because it's like a U.S. version of a Canadian syndicate.
I feel like that's like what you're watching late at night with the munchies and just like don't know what channel you're on.
Exactly. And then this show comes to Netflix, and then about 4 seasons in, people are just like, this show is like one of the best shows on TV. And then now people are actually full on binging it and watching it, and it finds its place. Then it just had its final season. And it does what no other show did. It sweeps at the Emmys. It sweeps. Every single of the main 4 actors each won an Emmy Award. Like main actor, main actress, supporting, whatever.
Sopranos never did that?
I don't think The Sopranos ever did that.
Because Jim won like 4 or 5 in a row, and Edie won.
That's the thing. I don't think like all the actors. I don't think they ever took all 4 at the same time. But this show did that. It won best writing. It won best show ever, and it is one of the best shows. One of the best comedy shows.
I've seen that a million times. What's it about?
So what's this about is...
Like, I haven't actually seen the show. I've just seen it around.
So the premise of the show is that they're like essentially this rich family that's sort of like the Kardashians in a sense. Like they're like a reality TV show type family. And the premise of the show is, what do you do when you take that reality TV family, take away all the money that they have, everything, every asset, whatever, are they still a reality TV family? And so these people, they leave New York City and they go to this dump hole of a town called Schitt's Creek. That's what the town is. It's spelled like SCHITT. So that's how they get away with using that. And it's about them just trying to survive in this small podunk town. And like, it is absolutely hilarious. I swear to God, if you start it, you will finish it in a week.
I love Eugene Levy.
He's hysterical.
He's amazing.
He is like what I consider he's considered like because of the American Pie movies and me growing up on them, he's considered like the best movie dad ever. His conversations with Jason Biggs in those movies are absolutely just like the kind of awkward moments. He goes, you know what, Jim, why don't we talk about
let's talk about your dick.
You know about shrinkage? and Eugene Levy's amazing in the show.
Yeah.
And I hope like the Golden Globes are coming up. I hope he wins. But he's actually going against his son for the same acting category.
Now, is that done? That was the final season?
That was the final season. Like it was like Breaking Bad in the sense that they ended it at the height of its show's popularity. 6 seasons. People were like, why don't you do more? People are finally watching. They're like, no, like just let it be. Like this show is perfect as is. Because like, there are plenty of shows where it gets good and then they just keep going and it's like, you shouldn't at all. Like,
yeah.
Like those last like
Homeland.
I know a lot of people. I'm not
example.
much of a Homeland watcher. My fiance loves Homeland. She actually said that the final season was redeeming of it. But I know one of the most talked about ones is and it's unfortunately a show I haven't, but I'm going to binge it because they're bringing it back. It's Dexter. People are like, the first 4 seasons are amazing. The final 4 and the finale, awful, which is why I never watch it. I'm like, why am I going to want to watch a show where everybody's saying shit? But now it's coming back.
I think I'm trying to remember because I watched it like 5 years ago. I feel like the first 5 seasons were good.
Yeah, and then it just gets terrible.
It's too much because it's such a ridiculous premise. Like if people haven't watched that, it's about a guy who basically like he's bloodthirsty and gets off on killing, so he has to kill, but he kills people who he works for the Miami PD, so he kills people who got away and were actually guilty, and I forget, he has like some sort of like sixth sense where he knows whether they did it or not. I'll be honest,
I have not seen the show, but it's on my list because the show is coming back. People hated the season, and the fans made it so that it came back. Yeah, and the fans now have so much say. It's a slippery slope.
It's a
slippery slope because there's great examples of how they've saved shows like save this show, and it's brought shows back. Like it's gotten my favorite comedy series on TV right now is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, that's been on like 3 channels.
Yeah, it started on Fox, and then after like the 4th or 5th season, Fox had canceled it. People said like #save Brooklyn Nine-Nine. A day later, NBC picked it back up. And they've done like 3 or 4 seasons since. I think this is going to be the final season, but that's another 4 seasons that we never would have gotten. But the fans, and I know there was a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which
I remember that.
The first trailer came out and people bashed the shit out of it. They're like, what is this design? So they actually pushed the movie back, redesigned the character, and saved the movie.
Now that's pretty smart. That's where it's good, because it's a slippery slope, but that's where it's good. Because you get the people who are most invested and feel like a personal relationship with it to say like, hey, this is how we know it, so let's do whatever. But it can also lead to that same content pile up. People want it.
Yes.
One of my least favorite things about today is how something happens and there's a fucking movie the next day.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't mind the book. The book, like the GameStop thing,
they're already writing. They have 2 separate movies already working on it.
Oh, but that's the thing. The GameStop book, Ben Mezrich, who's one of the greatest writers of all time, he wrote, among many books, he wrote the book that became the movie 21 with Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
he wrote the book that became The Social Network.
Love that.
He just wrote a book called Bitcoin Billionaires about the Winklevi, which was an unintended spin-off of The Social Network, which has to become a movie because it was incredible.
Well, they can't use Armie Hammer anymore.
He's a little old.
He's looking like Hannibal Lecter out there.
Yeah, what did he say? Like, I want to eat you?
It was something like he kept DMing some like chicks and like saying like I would just like eat you alive. And then he had a Finsta of like a bunch of videos, and people, it went like out there. Now he's been like dropped by his age, which sucks because Armie Hammer is a good actor, but like, you can't be a fucking psycho anymore, especially in today's world. Like, people get canceled left and right now.
No, but this guy Ben Mezrich is writing the book of GameStop already, which is hilarious. And according to a tweet, because I put the over under at 125 days, he's going to be done, and he responded and said, "Oh, I'll be done way sooner than that." So we're going to have the book like right away.
You're going to have the movie at 125 days.
That's my problem. They make these movies immediately, and like, I even think of one they waited like maybe 2 years on. Fuck, what was it called? Patriot Day?
Yes,
I think with Mark Wahlberg. Do you remember that week? Like in Boston, and then like us watching on TV because we were in college.
Yeah, we were.
It was like my first year of college. So
I think
you were still there.
I think I was a junior.
So, you know, we're watching this thing unfold. It was riveting. No, it was and you remember where you were when this shit was going down, even though you weren't actually in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Then they made the movie right away. It was a good movie. But like, do you know how much better that would be if they waited 10 years to make it?
Yeah, or they made it a show. And that's where I think this is going now is they're starting to make like all these shows now and that's why you're starting to get all these great actors that want to do TV. TV used to be like, oh, you're a TV actor, you can't get movies anymore, you go to TV.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. Now you had Meryl Streep on a TV show. She was in the 2nd season of Big Little Lies with that scream that became like a gif or whatever. But like, you have all these great actors that are now like, they're jumping ship from movies because they realize that this long form television, you can truly tell a backstory and a better story about who you're working on. And
they've also changed the meaning of a leading man and a leading woman.
They have.
There's a lot of, and it's a beautiful thing, there is a lot of flexibility to that. It used to be like, oh, you have to have the chiseled jaw and like all this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Jim changed that, man. Jim came in, was a bald and, overweight guy from North Jersey.
Yeah.
Playing an Italian mob boss, and, he was like a sex symbol.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a second, this doesn't add up.
That's not Harrison Ford.
And then they make the why, because let's be honest, there were a lot of deep rooted prejudices built into Hollywood and all that, So still are. But it was very, very like
the Weinsteins.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah,
but
we will.
Like, you had your Denzel Washingtons of the world and whatever, but it was very, very hard for like a not white guy to be the lead. And then a show like The Wire comes out, and suddenly they go, oh wow, oh wait, maybe this will work. Like, it shouldn't have taken that, but then it did. And I mean, even Michael B. Jordan, he was in The Wire. He was in The Wire as a 12-year-old.
Oh man,
which is crazy. So TV shows basically said, no. Like, okay, you want to relegate us? Well, now we have HBO and all these channels where we can say fuck and shit in every word, and we can have violence, and we can do it like you could do it in the movie theater, and we're going to make these long, drawn-out stories, and you're going to have to compete with that in your little 120-minute masterpiece.
Yeah, and
good luck.
As you said, like, they're all on these streaming services or on these premium channels. Like my dad, I was on the phone with my dad the other day, and he just moved recently, so like he doesn't have any streamings things or any premium channels. He just has basic cable. He was like, what can I watch?
What do people do?
And I was just like, holy shit! I just realized like basic cable shows are just not the same. Like, you have like all the police procedurals that are all on like the same one night. Like, for me, like, I watch a lot of like the superhero shows like that are on like the CW and stuff. But like, I'll watch NBC for a lot of the sitcoms. But they're just not what they were. Like, I know when it came to sitcoms, like at one point, like NBC one night was like The Office, 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, and Community. 30 Rock, if you get Peacock, they did a sort of semi-reunion episode, which was like, it was really like they brought it in as like a pitch show for like NBC, like, this is what we're selling for the year, but they turned it into a 30 Rock episode. And that's what you can do on these streaming shows. There's gonna be a Friends reunion on HBO Max. The Friends have not come together since the show ended.
Friends and The Office are two that I love.
Seinfeld.
They've always been on in the background somewhere. Someone's like, oh, let's turn this on. I've never watched them in order. I can't even tell you like what the plots are because I just see all the random ones.
Yeah.
Have never not liked an episode.
Never.
But it's just that those ones are weird because they're like two of the biggest ones. And I never sat down like, okay, season 1, season 2. I couldn't tell you what ones I've seen and what ones I haven't. But it's cool that you can enjoy it shows how good it is.
Oh,
what they did. That you can enjoy a show like that and not know like, wait, does Jim... Wait, did they fuck each other, or is it those
they're together
two?
now?
Like it's so confusing, Yeah,
I know, and like I know some people that only watch The Office because they watch it because they know what's going to happen. It's that familiarity. They don't want to lose that feeling. I'm like, there's a lot of good other shows. Like, I love The Office. Like, I actually did not see The Office, 30 Rock, Community, or Parks and Rec till about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
because this is another thing. This is my fiance bringing me into a TV world that I never really got into because, like, as a kid, I was either doing sports and shit, and like I never like had time for the long binge, and plus my parents wouldn't let me watch The Sopranos. But then like literally there was like 3 months went by where like I just binge watched all like 4 of those shows, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this was a golden age of TV, but like. This is a new era of TV, but it's all on streaming. And now everybody's got these different... You're going to end up paying the same amount as you did for cable, just getting all the different streaming packages.
Yeah, the streaming wars are nuts.
The streaming war is legit.
People will buy stuff for one show.
Yes.
They will do it. And you can't... It's not like, the good old days of 08, 09 where you could get fucking anything online. I used to hit up all... I remember watching some... crazy movies in like 05 or whatever.
Yeah.
That you could get for free on Putlocker or something like that.
Oh my God, Putlocker. You just brought me right back to freshman year of college with Putlocker. Probably destroyed my laptop.
Dude, and I remember I missed a baseball game, or I didn't miss it. I almost missed the baseball game because I was busy watching Scarface on Putlocker, and I was like, I was locked in. I was like, wait, and then? I'm like, wait, what's this white stuff? Googling it. Oh, cocaine. Okay, I'm in. But you're watching this, and you could do that. You could go type in movie X for free, and you could do it. And now,
Well, I mean, pirating still definitely
it's still
existing.
a thing.
It's definitely
hard,
different.
though.
It's definitely
torrent.
harder. But like me, I just realized I was one day just looking at like my bills, and I'm like, God, I'm paying for cable, I'm paying for this service, I'm paying for that service. But like for me, it's understandable because I'm actually watching this stuff. Like at first, like I only had Disney Plus just so I could watch The Mandalorian, and then eventually, they started bringing in the whole back catalog because they had like Disney had bought 20th Century Fox, like they bought the whole studio. And which was unheard of at the time. And like they literally now just took that 20th Century Fox back catalog. They put it on Disney Plus. They don't have to pay for any of that original content. It's all paid for. So now they're just getting $6 subscribers in every day, and they don't have to pay for. All they have to do is pay for their original content. They don't have to pay for those licensing fees on those shows.
I couldn't believe how many people went and bought that when that came out too.
I mean, I did, but that's only because Star Wars. Like, you're not a Star Wars guy,
exactly.
so that's the main difference.
Exactly.
Like, it's getting these huge like IPs. Like,
well, people buying for the old memories though too, not just the Star Wars, but like there were a lot of people like buying for the old Disney Channel shows and shit.
I watched a few eps of Boy Meets World not too long ago, man. Eric is still one of the funniest characters ever, and I'll stand to that. But yeah, you're right. The back catalog that they own, but that's theirs. They don't have to pay for that. Meanwhile, Netflix has to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to keep those shows on. And it's only so sustainable for them. That's why they're going into, we got to make this original content to go as far as we can. But now you have HBO Max, you have Peacock, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Disney who owns Hulu, Netflix, and
so
ESPN.
confusing.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing. But there are a lot of great shows on these streaming, and that's the point. You have the ability to pause, like you don't have to DVR like or anything. I don't even know if DVR is still a thing.
Well, you also forget that you sign up for them when you do. That's the subscription model. They know like they'll never cancel it.
Yeah, it's like a gym membership for me.
I signed up for Hulu.
I think I've been paying Planet Fitness for the last 2 years, and I haven't stepped in the door once in a while.
You're a Planet Fitness guy. All right, I'm not going to touch that one. But anyway, does the meat thing go off where they get the buzzer when you take out the 20-pound dumbbell?
Oh my God! If anybody just hits the weights, then you're just like, get out of here.
Oh yeah, people should be shot for having that goddamn bell on. But whatever. Anyway, I remember getting Hulu for The Looming Tower.
Okay.
Long story short, I still have Hulu.
I'll tell you what,
I haven't used it.
I love Hulu because there are still network shows that I watch, and they show up next day without commercials. Like I get the Hulu like without commercials one, like I spend on that one, and that's the only way I can still watch network TV shows. Is I can't watch them when they're on TV. I prefer to watch them the next day, like without commercials. That's what I prefer.
Commercials are killer.
Yeah, so like whenever there's any of these streaming services, they always get me for like the extra $5 if they have a no commercials or ads or type shit.
Commercials are, I mean, you see YouTube still living on the last breaths of that, where they have the content that's blocked by 30-second ads or an ad two where you can skip ad.
Get YouTube Premium.
Dude, people, and that's the thing, they'll do that, but there's also some outside the box things that they're working on, the technorati types. I had in the kid Anthony Fenue, and we talked. I don't know if we talked about that a ton on the podcast, but he and I have talked about that offline and some of the shit he's making, and I should say, especially the worlds he's involved in producing volumetric hologram content and stuff like that.
Oh, it's the hologram kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that got me. Like I was just like, wait, what is he doing,
bro? He was talking to me about the future of advertising and how this is going. And that was one topic I did actually know a fair bit about, but he took it to a whole separate level. Like, I'll do it wrong if I explain it, but pretty much he's like, if you're on a commercial business, figure out what you're doing next. Because we are already at a point where, one thing I do remember he said is that the 2D visual ads, your banner ads and shit like that, they're dead. No one's it is so, unless it's clickbait shit, which I used to have clients who do that. Shout out Kyle now. But anyway, like those go where it's like, find out if so and so got arrested and has herpes, like, and you click it,
and it's got like some celebrity's face on it. It's just like,
correct.
No, we're associated with herpes at all.
And it's like, all right, well, I gotta click that. But when someone's got an ad for like a Dodge Silverado or Chevy Silverado, whatever it is, like, no one's clicking that.
Yeah,
no
nobody's
one
clicking that
really
shit.
cares. And it doesn't even have the psychological like, ooh, let's get that name locked in as much because people have so much of it in their faces. So now you think about like even streaming services like a Tubi or watching TV shows on TV still, and that whole like, oh, the commercials just came on. The model's shifted.
Yeah, completely.
It takes people. Do you remember watching movies on TNT? Can you imagine doing that today?
I mean, I won't lie. There's usually a text that comes out. The town is on TNT. Switch to it right now. Even though I own it like 4 different ways. Like I probably have the Blu-ray and the digital copy, and it's on Netflix. Like I'll just do like the quick flip back. But somebody always just texts and go, "Guys, town is on TNT. You're welcome."
It shows you how sad. See, I've never watched Town on TNT. I don't want to because now I really would cringe watching this. But it shows you how sad the world is. You got 8-year-olds who have an iPhone and can go on fucking OnlyFans, but they go on TV and suddenly like Affleck's getting in a scene. He's like, "Listen, it's not flipping." Instead of like, "It's not fucking there." Like,
Oh my God.
they can't even say fuck on TNT. Like, how do you even have a business model like that? Because you watch their mouth do like the shittiest CGI of all time to say flipping. Or like
Sometimes it's not. They don't even CGI anything. Like I remember one of the biggest scenes I'll always remember was I was watching like Happy Gilmore on like TBS or something, and it's a scene where he looks at him, he's just like, "Oh hey, thanks for dressing up," and he goes, "Hey, if I wear clothes like this, I had to kick my own butt." Like it wasn't. It was the line was ass, but then all of a sudden you just hear like it's a different voice. It just goes butt, and I was just like, what the fuck?
That's some hungover guy like in the studio. Like, all right, Jim, we got
channel.
We got Gilmore at 12. Let's get a dub in here. Yeah, you look good. Like, how does that model even work at this point? And I mean, we can argue about the week-to-week model versus the binge model, but the one thing they have in common, at least the ones we're mostly talking about, are where it's like, no, when you sit down to watch it,
you're
it's
in.
it.
You're locked
and
in.
You can pause it. It's uninterrupted. Like, I mean, dude, The Sopranos came out 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Get with the times.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, the Sopranos one, and you're gonna hate me. I had just watched it for the first time like 2 years ago.
No, I won't hate you for it.
Yeah.
Although are you from New Jersey?
I am from Jersey.
I am gonna hate on you for that.
Yeah, I know.
You're from the state of New Jersey.
From the
and you
state of
haven't
New
watched
Jersey.
the national anthem.
I know. But I watched it. And I loved it. It was great. I can't wait for the movie. I hope they don't fuck.
Well, you were around Spear and me.
As I said,
boys.
I used to not be a TV guy. I used to
That's
only
fair, yeah.
be movies. It was my fiance that introduced me into TV, and I.
But you
thank her.
you were a movie buff growing up.
Oh, always.
Got it.
Like the first movie, and like literally one of the first youngest memories I have was my dad taking me. It's like 1996 or 7, and that's when they re-released Star Wars. Like George Lucas did like the special editions or whatever. He took me to the theater. First movie I remember seeing, changed my life. That's why I'm a Star Wars fan. Because like it takes me back to that 7-year-old in me, which is why like a lot of people I know like they can't get into Star Wars later because they didn't have that childhood attachment to it.
Yeah.
Which is like how like a lot of things like people don't get into it because they just don't have that childhood attachment. And that's what got me. That's like one of the oldest memories I've had, and I've been a movie buff ever since.
That's a beautiful thing about movies, and now you can say it about TV shows over the last couple decades, I guess, give or take.
Sure.
But we think about this with songs a lot, where songs are a memory. Or songs take you back to a moment in time or what you were feeling, what you were going through, good and bad. Movies and TV shows do that too.
Sure.
And it's not just like that's a great thing where you remember going to see one for real for the first time with your dad. Like that is related to the movie and how like movies themselves made you feel, and that's a personal memory from your life.
Yep.
But it's also like, when did you watch a movie? Like, what was happening? Were you going through a good time, a bad time? Were you in love? Were you hating the world? Like, what was the movie about? How did it play into the vibe? Like, what else was going on around you? Or were you just sitting there watching in your house? There's these things about it where I at least, I'm like a visual thinker in that way as far as like capsuling my life together. But there's so many movies where I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I watched that one, such and such was going on or whatever. Like, oh yeah, I saw Inception, but I was hooking up with a girl way out of my league, so I wasn't really paying close attention to it. I need to go back and watch that. Like there's all these things, and then it adds like a whole nother layer to the movie itself or the show itself.
Oh man, one of that for me was I saw back when movies do midnight premieres. Like,
oh my God,
like
take
Friday,
me back.
Take Me Back. Now they do like the Thursday at like 7 p.m. but it was the midnight premiere for The Dark Knight. I was like on, like about to turn 18, just turning 18. And I remember I got to the theater. Naturally, the line out the door at midnight around. I'm seeing people in Joker makeup.
But
like,
wait a second. Hold on.
Go for it.
You're a Michael Keaton guy.
Yeah, dude.
But
We all
like
know
this.
that. We all know. Well, I don't hate. First off, I don't hate Bale. Like,
Okay.
I love Christian Bale as Batman. Let's get that clear.
I couldn't let that slide.
No. The
Continue.
Dark Knight is the best. Not only the best Batman movie, it's still the best superhero movie ever because it's also a crime movie. You take away Batman, it's just a great crime movie.
I don't say this out loud much, but because like I'm a movie buff, right?
Go.
But that's a top 10 movie of all time for me.
That's possibly number one for me.
Don't blame me one bit.
Dude,
Anyway,
like-
continue about the memory. I like this.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, like, I'll even like, I remember telling that story to my dad, and he was just like, "How the hell do you remember that?" And I was like, "Well, Dad, you gotta realize you probably would have had a completely different son if you didn't take me to the movie that day."
Yeah.
And that's just one memory I have in particular. But I just remember going to see like The Dark Knight and just seeing everybody in the Joker makeup, and I was like, it's 12:30 in the morning, man. Like, don't you have to go to work the next day? Like, I was like 17-year-old. It was the middle of the summer, so naturally I had nothing to do the next day. But like, I've seen people like in their 20s and 30s, like out here. I'm like, damn, I miss midnight showings. I just miss the movie theater now, but I miss that.
I think an important question that I always think about with that movie, though, and particularly, is if Heath hadn't died.
Would he have been the third one?
That's another one.
Okay.
I do think about that because he didn't die in that movie, right?
No, he didn't.
But if he hadn't died, would people appreciate what he did as much? Because I will tell you, like, I'm a sucker for great acting.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Like, I'd go back. I watched Brando all the way back to The Men, which people are like, what the fuck is that? That's the first movie he ever made.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking eat up great acting.
Yeah.
And for my money, that is one of the greatest performances I'll ever see. And sadly, it killed him.
Yeah, it killed. Like, he had to do like the drugs and shit in order to like balance his stuff out. But do you know that Heath's only in that movie for like 18 total minutes? That's it. Like, it's it's like something crazy like that. Like, he's only in it for like 20, 25 minutes.
I know.
Total.
I've heard that before, but it's not 18. It's more than that.
Yeah, it's probably more than that. But like, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Is like he was one of the best actors. Died way too young. You want to know one of my favorite Heath movies is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Phenomenal movie.
Great movie because it also has one of my favorite actors in it, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
I love JGL. He's starting to he
had
had
a big
kids.
comeback,
He had
too.
he had kids, and now he's making a comeback. One of the movies I love. You ever see Looper?
I have seen Looper.
Looper's off the time travel with Bruce.
Yep.
First off, I'm the biggest sucker for time travel.
Yep.
I think it's like one of those plot devices that if that's the plot device, like I think I watch Back to the Future probably once a year. Like, I love that movie because I'm
Never
always
got into Back to the Future.
love Back to the Future. Like, and there's always new things like I always find out about it. Like in the beginning of that movie, one of the things I don't realize is the mall where they go to, like where everything happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's called like the like Two Trees Mall or something.
Mm.
And then when he goes first back into back in the 50s, he runs over one of the trees. So when you come back later in the movie, it's called One Tree Mall. Like something I've never picked up on before. I've seen that movie 50
That is
times.
some wild shit. Like when you think about time travel.
It's the little
Yeah.
things, you know?
Yeah.
Terrible movie that just came out, by the way, The Little Things, but that's another thing.
Who's in that?
That was the one that was with like Denzel, Leto, and Rami Malek.
Wait.
Yeah, there's a new Denzel movie.
Hold on. Denzel, Jared Leto, and Rami Malek
Yeah, all in a movie together.
made a movie,
And it wasn't good.
and it wasn't good.
It was not good. I was not a fan. At least me.
What was it about?
So essentially, Denzel plays an older cop who never retires type deal. Rami Malek's the young hotshot detective type guy. Leto is apparently a serial killer, and it's about trying to get Leto.
And this was a bad movie?
You have to watch it to know why. Like, I don't
Was
want.
the acting
No,
good?
the acting was pretty good outside of Rami Malek. I wasn't into his character at all. Leto was good. He has some prosthetics on his face and he looks a little weird, but he's got his long hair, and it's not like a Denzel, like he's not like the Equalizer, and he's not like kicking the shit. He's like an older cop. Like you're finally seeing like Denzel's up there. Like he's up there now. And it was just a movie I wasn't into. So that's unfortunate because it's one of those movies where great trailer, phenomenal trailer, bad movie.
I miss the trailers where we had our boy Dan, what's his face, where he'd be like, in a world where one man.
You want to know who kills that? No, like absolutely, like who like not they killed it, like they killed it with it. Tropic Thunder. Do you remember that movie? Ben Stiller. They had the fake trailers.
Yeah.
In a world. Who opened up the freezer?
And that's a movie that could never happen today, too, because of what they did.
Because of what they did.
It was incredible.
RDJ was nominated for an Oscar for that movie. But RDJ is phenomenal in that movie.
As he should have been.
He was. There's that scene where he's taking off like all the prosthetics off his own face.
I'll become a man again.
And then he's doing like the 5 different characters. Like I'm Neil Armstrong, and like that scene that year that was RDJ's year, 2008.
Dude,
that was the Iron Man year, and then he came out with Tropic Thunder.
Now,
amazing.
I know Tropic Thunder's like a crazy funny movie, you know, Kenny Powers blowing off all the things like the 4th of July and all that shit. I know, but you can't overlook that performance.
No, cannot. You cannot.
I'm a huge Robert Downey Jr.
Love
guy.
RDJ.
I don't know that he'll ever top that. I mean, he basically had to have a schizophrenic attack for an entire movie.
I mean, he was an actor within an actor, like in that within another actor. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude,
dressed as a black guy. Like, what? Like he wore, and again, it could never happen today.
No, cannot. I think he was on Joe Rogan talking about it. He was. Like, just like, no, you can't do this anymore.
You can't do it, but it doesn't change the fact that it did happen.
Yep.
And at the time, you know, it's not like anyone had the wrong intention with it.
No.
Like, you have to remember, intentionality was
It's
stuff.
like a parody. That movie was a parody on Hollywood.
Right. So, like, at the time, not to say that, like, that's acceptable, but they were doing, to your point, they're doing it a parody of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was playing the actor within the role within the movie, right? So it was probably fine. Today there is such sensitivity around it that they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if they went to do it and were getting shit for it, I would say I get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, artistically, I get it because they're trying to show how ridiculous shit is. So like these guys could be stupid enough to do something that abhorrent.
Yeah.
In the movie, within the movie.
Yeah. And that was doing that. Now people are getting about if like say a straight person is playing a gay man, they are now attacked. Like I know James Corden is like under attack right now because he was in like some movie, The Prom on Netflix, where he played a gay man, and people are literally just like, what the heck? Like why wouldn't a gay guy play it? Like what? Like that's like I know one thing that they're talking about like right now. I'm just like, well, yeah, but like Tom Hanks won an Oscar in Philadelphia playing a gay person.
Yep.
Like the guy from Modern Family, one guy was gay, the other guy wasn't gay.
Yeah. It's
tough, but like those are like all-time performances, like, but it was a different time.
They also do very controllable ones where they just go really, like they had ScarJo playing an Asian chick, Slave to Play one, and it's like you're asking
Ghost in
for
the
it.
Shell, which was actually such a great anime.
Yeah.
Like, were you ever into the anime game as a kid?
Really.
What about just like cartoons as a kid? Like, I was obsessed.
South Park.
So, well, yeah, South Park. I still watch. Did you watch the pandemic special?
No.
Oh my God. Go get like your free trial of HBO Max or whatever and watch it. Because
South Park is an incredible show.
They absolutely like, did you ever watch the 6 Days to Air, like the making of South Park? So they make each episode in a week.
Oh, I knew that.
They write it, they do all the voice.
You want to talk about turning shit around? They would be in the news, like the news that just happened. It's like South Park has an episode on it. Trey Parker and Matt Stone,
geniuses, utter geniuses. Book of Mormon, amazing,
dude. And I never saw that. I have to see that.
So good.
But they may be some of the most underrated talents of creativity.
Yes,
we have ever had in this country.
Ever seen, man? Like. They did the episode when I believe when Trump won the election, they had originally wrote it that Hillary won. So they had to, and think about it, the episodes come out Wednesday night and it was election Tuesday. Like, so in that 24-hour span, they had to change, or they had to like, hopefully they had some ideas and said they had to change the story around to make it so that Trump won in the episode.
They did an episode inside of 24 hours.
Yeah. Like they retooled the episode so that it was like Garrison becoming Trump and whatever.
They couldn't even do that on Seinfeld, and there were 2 sets and a live audience.
Yeah, I mean, hey, If you watch that 6 Days to Air episode, man, they just turn it around like that. That writer's room is hysterical.
That's amazing.
It's those two are unappreciated in the time that they're in, and that's why they get put on for 5 more seasons every year.
You know what the other thing is though? No one's safe on their show.
No,
they attack every single race, creed, religion, interest, public interest, news story, good, bad, indifferent, skin color. I think I already said that. They attack everything in a parody, satirical, fucking hilarious way.
Oh man,
you
it's so good.
can't be offended by it because they out offend you at every single turn.
Yeah,
and they probably attack white males more than anything else in the entire thing.
Nobody's safe when it comes to that show,
dude. And it's and it gives me. It makes me more mad, too, at how society is being so goddamn sensitive on everything, because this show has remained the cockroach, and I mean that in a good way in this case. Cockroaches never die, right?
Yeah.
It has remained the cockroach on TV forever and has kept an audience, and these guys are so creative, and they've done it proving that you just can't fucking take yourself or everything else so seriously.
You can't, man. Like, those guys just... It's simple. They're just utter geniuses. And the fact that they can turn a show around in a week, like, is like, that's how it stays relevant. Like, something just happened, and all of a sudden this shit. So when you watch the pandemic special, it's very relevant to what was happening around like the summer and September time. Like when it came out, it's absolutely hilarious. You got the cops being the teachers now because they got fired, and there's no teachers, and you're bringing the kids into the COVID classrooms. And you know that there's certain characters, one might have gotten shot, you know, like in the middle of the episode. And then meanwhile, you got Randy Marsh like talking about like, oh yeah, Mr. Johnson over there started a restaurant.
I thought this was America.
Mr. Johnson over there started a restaurant. Whoops. She started a spa. Ouch. Meanwhile, weed sales have gone up to the roof. And when they finally realized that Randy Marsh is probably the best character on that show, they made him a main character, because I love Randy Marsh. Like ever since when it was like, oh my God, yeah, Sharon, I need my wife, Sharon. Yeah, I love that show. They have me on the hook for the rest of my life as long as it keeps going.
I found that when I was like 10 or 11 years old. My mom didn't know that, but my dad loved it. He would watch it late at night, like forever. I didn't know what it was at first, but that show probably taught me more about pop culture than anything. Yeah, because it just had everything. It had
everything in it.
It had every theme.
It did. It's hard to believe that the movie for the show came out back in 1999.
Yeah. Well, they also made Captain America, or what was
Team
it called?
America.
Team America.
Yes, great movie. Great movie.
Incredible.
Oh my God.
That's another one. Probably could never get made today.
Oh my God. Did you ever see Basketball?
Yes.
The sports movie.
Yes.
I was watching it not too long ago. I was losing it. I was just like, these guys are so fucking funny.
But we can still laugh at that. That should tell you something. Like, you watch that first scene of Team America, and like, you know, they got the guy in the turban with the bomb. It's the most racist, stereotypical
it's
thing.
so racist.
But it's against everything and like, they're making fun of everyone. It's
they're ripping on the U.S. They're just ripping on America right to America's face. Just ripping it right into their face.
And by the way, pretty prescient on the theme there, as far as like, oh, a little war happy here, aren't we?
Yeah, right? A little bit.
Like they kind of like I'd have to go back and look at it. They've nailed some things ahead of time. Like, people always talk about the Simpsons predict stuff. Yeah, the Simpsons and South Park nail a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, man. I think even the Simpsons called the 20th Century Fox acquisition by Disney, like, it literally said like 20th Century Fox, a Disney company, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, the one that's a little misleading, I think, is the Trump one, because I think they had an episode after of him coming down the escalator, so now people use it as a meme, like, they showed the escalator.
They got Trump. God.
Yeah, but the other one is Family Guy, which I did get really into. Are you a fan?
Like, as we said before, like, I was binging those first like DVDs and shit, and then I stopped watching Family Guy probably like in like the early 2000s, like 2012, 2013 area, and then in the last couple of years, I really gotten back into it, and it's still funny as ever. And that's another one I worry about, though, because Seth is a very
known publicly kind of guy. You know,
Yeah.
he's friends with everyone. He's gone mainstream making the Ted movies and everything. And
Great movies.
Yeah. Oh my
Ted
God.
2, very underappreciated.
I agree. Both of those movies had myself pissing on the ground laughing. But he takes a lot. It's comedy. The definition is taking chances, making fun of shit, being ridiculous. Takes a lot of chances in Family Guy. And I just, I always think about Twitter culture and, 21st century culture here and people taking things the wrong way on stuff. And I wonder when it's like, oh, we're going to cancel Family Guy because
For the 4th time.
again though, he worries me in that way because he's a little bit cancelable because he's very public.
Yeah.
Whereas Trey Parker and Matt Stone don't give a
They're not.
shit. They're doing acid somewhere and
No,
they don't give a shit what you think.
That's also funny when they were at the Oscars and then how they were in the dresses and they were tripping acid and stuff. Like they were just like, then you're just sitting at the Oscars for 4 hours tripping balls and it's like the worst experience in the world.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those guys are legends. But man, I do like Seth MacFarlane a lot. Like, I've actually seen him as like an actor and stuff. I don't watch his TV show like The Orville, but like,
Wait, he's got a TV show?
I know he had a live action show called The Orville, which was essentially like a parody ripoff of Star Trek. And and I never watched that, but like I love the Ted movies. I think Ted 2 is very underrated. If they don't do a Ted 3, I'm going to be very, very upset, like inevitably down the road. But even I was watching his other movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh my God.
It is straight up just dumb, but it's got its funny moments like in there.
You have to like that scatological humor.
Yeah.
You have to be about that to be able to laugh at those things. And you should go to a comedy movie excited to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And so you should find ridiculous things funny. I mean, to me, that's why Will Ferrell's a GOAT for me. Because he's hysterical.
Yeah.
You just look at his face and you're already laughing.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell is definitely like one of my favorite comedic actors of all time. I think the new one up for me is I'm a huge Seth Rogen guy.
Seth Rogen's pretty
I
fucking
think
funny,
everything he's done has just made me just die laughing. Like one of the more recent ones I saw was Long Shot with Charlize Theron. Like,
oh my
she's
God,
the
that was
president.
incredible.
Oh
Yes,
my God,
yes.
I've rewatched it so many times. That movie is just
I
absolutely
peed
hilarious.
myself in that movie.
Yeah.
That was so fucking funny.
That movie, that's a good one. Not a lot of people saw it, sadly, but like I think Seth Rogen is one of the best out there, and he actually he helps produce like a lot of TV series. I know he's behind like The Boys and everything, and that's one of my favorite shows. So Seth's up there for me.
Yeah, those early ones of Judd Apatow were a big
Amazing.
introduction for me into like great comedy. So like Knocked Up, Superbad. I wasn't in high school when that came out.
I
but
was.
It was shortly before. If you were in that age bracket, that was a anthem of what the experience was. I mean, some of it was a little over the top, but it was such a fucking brilliant movie. And now I'm gonna blank out. There were a bunch that came out that were done by him at that time.
Oh yeah, like he did the 40-Year-Old Virgin. He did
oh my God,
Knocked Up.
yeah.
And then he did like Funny People with Sandler, and that's when like Rogan got really skitty. And that one I didn't like, but
Yeah,
I did
I
like
didn't like
Trainwreck with
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. That one was funny. But then I saw the
My buddy Grant, who's going to be on the pod, made out with Schumer in that movie. Shout out Grant.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He was the guy that was hooking up with her outside of the apartment, like when the homeless guy's watching.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I know exactly what
Yeah.
scene what scene you're talking about. But like somebody who's in that movie that was hilarious, John Cena.
Oh yeah,
John Cena was hysterical. Where he's trying to do the dirty talk, and he's just like, "I'm going to come at you with my pecker." But Cena's somebody that's blowing up huge now because he had a good comedic run, and now he's getting opportunities like that. Like he's going to be in a big superhero movie coming out this summer called The Suicide Squad, which is the semi-sequel to the much-hated Suicide Squad, but it's been retooled with the guy who did like Guardians of the Galaxy.
John Cena's going to be a superhero.
Not only that, but then he's going to get his own spin-off TV show, which is currently filming right now, that's going to come out on HBO Max next year.
Well, you know what? Some people are going to yell at me because there apparently are a lot of people out there who are silent fans, but you got to know how to act in the WWE.
You do.
You got to know. I mean, look, that's where The
soap
Rock
opera.
came from, man. So, and it's not to say like a lot of people are like, oh, is The Rock, a one-off because he's obviously a great actor, but hey, who's to say John Cena can't be fucking great too? I mean, he was great in that role.
Oh yeah, but hey, I'm so glad that you brought up The Rock because he's also somebody. He's about to have a TV show about his life. Young Rock on NBC. Where there's like 3 different. There's a childhood version of him. There's him at 15, and then there's him when he's at the University of Miami.
I'm judging it already because it's on cable TV.
Yeah, it's on cable TV. But yeah, and then he was in like Ballers and stuff. But like I didn't
like Ballers.
It's a wannabe Entourage. It's an absolute wannabe Entourage.
Wannabe. The writing I thought was really bad. I thought some of the acting was great. Like there were guys, they made that show be okay.
That's what gave us Denzel's son, John David
Washington.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, like people talk nepotism and shit. That kid earned it.
Oh, he did.
Dude, he worked. I mean, he's not 22. He's like 32 years old.
Black Klansman was a great movie.
Love
is
that movie. Fantastic actor.
Love it. I saw Tenet.
I was just gonna ask. I haven't seen that. How was
I
that?
saw Tenet, and when you inevitably watch it, people have said you need the volume up high, and then you also need to put up the subtitles on because it's a tough movie to hear. Because like he's constantly having like the music bombarding you like Christopher Nolan always does. And you have trouble sometimes hearing what's happening. Not only that, this thing is more dense than Inception. Like with what they're doing.
Is it Hans Zimmer on the track?
Unfortunately, I think it's one of those movies that he didn't do with Hans Zimmer, Hans Zimmer is like, when it comes to composers, it's John Williams, Hans Zimmer for me. Like I love Hans Zimmer. Like I think about his Batman themes, I think about his Superman themes, and like his music sticks with me.
Hans Zimmer, I know we learned in school at some point about all the great composers and Mozart and shit like that. All due respect to Mozart. Hans Zimmer is the GOAT.
Hans Zimmer's your GOAT?
He's the GOAT composer.
I do love his work.
And then I saw him I didn't get masterclass, but I saw he was doing a masterclass, and the preview was like, see, all these keys, they are an emotion. See, that's anger, that's sadness. And I'm like, God damn it, I could watch this all day. I mean, that dude, I love that music.
I do. I mean,
I listen to that in the gym. Like I go through phases with that.
His theme song for Superman, I think is
Incredible.
it's better than the Donner Superman, like intro, like the dun 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 dun. Like it's way better.
1000%.
It's more like just beating drums, like dun 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 dun.
There's people that would say blasphemy of that. Absolutely not. It's 100 times better.
So much better.
Nobody's running out onto a football field listening to the original Superman theme. They're listening to the Hans Zimmer.
No, I do
one.
love John Williams. Like shout out John Williams. It is a classic theme song.
Yeah, it was a different time too. But
yeah.
For me, I mean, there's a bunch, but obviously the Batman ones are great. I always forget the names of some of these songs, but the one Time,
yes, in Inception,
from Inception,
yes,
is without question the most inspirational piece of music.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't involve a voice that I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
You could put that behind anything, and it seems legit.
I'm with you. Like I know I definitely have worked out to like a lot of like his music for sure.
Bro, it does this thing like chemically in your body where like shit just kind of changes.
Well, it kind of takes you back into the scene almost. Like you can like visualize the scene
again
as the music's happening.
I was busy watching the Inception, man. I don't know what happened in that movie. I never went back and watched it again. It was a good memory.
It's definitely something you should definitely go back and revisit for sure.
Yeah, but that song, I mean, and that's the thing. Like these guys, they'll make or break a movie, and we don't even think about that. But that music, if it's wrong, it's wrong.
I mean, I think like when you release a trailer, one of the first things that gets you ever is the music of the trailer. Some trailers hit you with just the right tone of like music. Like I know there was a recent trailer for The Batman, which is the new Batman trailer. I don't know if you saw it, the one that's going to have Robert Pattinson now as Batman. But no, that's what you thought, and I thought too, because everybody's just like, yeah, he's the Twilight movie guy, like whatever. He's done some really good indie movies since that. I really like. There's one called Good Time that I think it's on Amazon. Everybody should go check it out. It's a good.
I like a good indie movie.
Yeah, so like he did like the indie game for a while, and then came out. Was in Tenet, crushed it. Like I could see what they saw. They said I can see his Bruce Wayne in it. And then when they released that trailer, like, I don't remember what song they used, but it instantly just made you feel like you were in like a mob movie with a mob mentality. And I love that.
The thing is, like, let's take Christian Bale, for example.
I think Christian Bale, by the way, is my favorite actor.
But he's not your favorite Batman.
No, but he's my favorite actor.
You are a walking conundrum. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we can talk about him. But he does like American Psycho. He does The Machinist. He's literally
Crazy.
like kind of crazy to do this stuff, right?
Vice, American Hustle. He gained like 300 pounds.
And that's even like after after Batman.
Yeah.
So to go do the first Batman, I mean, this was still a guy who you could see the range. You could see like, all right, he's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Which you kind of need that to buy that he's like this guy.
Yeah, you gotta be a psycho to be
And then he
Batman.
does Reign of Fire.
Yeah,
And Reign of Fire. Underrated movie.
Is that's the one with like the dragons?
That's
right?
with Matthew McConaughey
Yeah,
as the psycho.
McConaughey.
Like, the dragons, they're coming to get you.
Oh, man,
You know, so
McConaughey.
like you kind of buy him as that. Robert Pattinson is the guy who was in, you know, the teenage heartthrob movie with Kristen Bell.
Yeah, Kristen Stewart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Point made. I look at him, no disrespect. Not feeling the Batman thing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Well, when you watch this, I'm going to watch this trailer with you. We're going to put it on, and I swear to God, you will instantly be turned.
The trailer of the new Batman.
The Batman. It's just called the. Which first off, which I love that they added the in the title, because that's how often a lot of people will refer to Batman. Be like the Batman.
The Batman.
Like I remember Cillian Murphy, who played Scarecrow in the Batman Begins, where he's just like, who is it? He's just like the Batman, and like I just love that. But if you watch this trailer, because I've watched it 10,000 times, you'll instantly be hooked, I'm sure. But
coming up behind you. Here we go. All right,
right,
let's turn it
yes.
on. So I'll put it in the bottom corner of the screen. I like the tape already. But I need my guy going, in a world.
Yeah, that is a lost art. But just wait till the music drops. No more lies.
For people listening, by the way.
Your secret friend.
I guess they narrate a little bit.
Who?
Oh, Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. He's Gordon.
We gotta talk about Jeffrey Wright.
Haven't a clue. Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
I don't know about that suit.
Trust me, it's gonna be awesome.
You're becoming quite a celebrity. Why is he writing to you?
I thought that said to the moon.
Colin Farrell.
Wait, that was Colin Farrell? Oh my God, people, you gotta see Colin Farrell. He looks like he went on a 20-year bender.
What is the price for your blind eye?
And this is the scene that'll do it right here.
The hell are you supposed to be?
Did he get yoked for this?
I think he got pretty big.
I'm vengeance.
The voice is a little high.
This guy's crazy.
It's a very good trailer.
The music though, like in the background.
It's a very good trailer. Okay, I'm gonna cut it there. The voice is a little high though.
Yeah. I mean, we've only heard him just say like "I'm vengeance," but like
when Bale was doing it, it was like, where are they?
yeah, but that's also been parodied so much that they can't really go back to that.
It's so bad that it's good.
It's so bad that it's good. Yeah.
I mean, it's excellent, but like it's so overdone that it's good. Hey, proved that there are a lot of good people. Where you thought they were. You notice he never uses his lips.
No.
Where you thought they were bad.
And you notice it gets deeper as each one goes on. It just gets more and more. Like he knew that people were talking about it, so he just wanted to go deeper.
Bale was going down.
This is in the car.
I need to get. I need to get to it right now. It's just it's
yeah, but once
it's
again,
bad that it's
very,
good.
very, very pumped for that movie because Batman is my guy. Like one of the first shows I watched as a kid was Batman the animated series. Like which is considered like an
Who was
all-time.
the voice on that?
The voice and this is, you want to know who my Batman is? It is the voice.
Ooh,
It is the voice.
You already said who your Batman is.
Well, I said I really like Ben Affleck, but you want to know, like, if
No,
picture...
wait. You said your Batman was Michael Keaton, and now you love Ben Affleck.
Well, no, I love Michael Keaton because he's my original, and then I love Bale. Love them all. But if I'm like if I had a voice in my head of like Batman was talking, it is Kevin Conroy who voiced Batman in the animated series. Shockingly, you want to know who did the Joker? Mark Hamill.
No.
Luke Skywalker himself. And it is I honestly argue that he is my Joker. Because the voice is just, it's so good to the point that they've used it in future animated series and video games after. I'm telling you, when I think of the characters in my head, like I picture their voices to the characters. That's the voice I hear, the Batman voice and the Joker voice are those two people right there.
All due respect to Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson.
It's gonna be tough to, especially when it comes to our generation, because I loved Jack Nicholson. I loved the gangster aspect of it, that they sort of gave him this backstory that never existed, like the Jack Napier character.
Yeah, and I'm by the way, I need to say, because it was a separate world, but I'm overlooking Joaquin Phoenix. Obviously, Joaquin Phoenix was incredible, but it was different.
It was different. That's not the Joker I know.
It was yes, it was different. Heath Ledger was the Joker. Heath Ledger had everything about that. And I mean, how much do you look at, method acting? Like, how much do you know about that?
There's great method acting, like in terms of like one, you can look at the Joker because you can look at Heath Ledger, and then you can look at the Joker, then you can look at Jared Leto. You're talking about two people that did method acting for this same character. One was beloved, the other one not so much. Like Jared Leto literally got onto that set and like he was like giving like rats as gift to people. Like he became the Joker on set, and like people like didn't like him, like or whatever, because
Killed the vibe.
But like Christian Bale, method actor. Like,
sure, and I don't think people understand how deep they go, and it's so easy for people to go, oh God, here we go, fucking actors, celebrities, making everything so goddamn difficult, thinking they're so important. To give these types of performances that we sit here and talk about 40 years later, what some of these guys have done, I respect the fuck out of it. I remember I read Lee Strasburg's book, Dream of Passion, in college, and it blew me away at how they just fucking sink all the way into this. They imagine all the things in their life. And like the greatest pound for pound, just pure actor ever, not named Marlon Brando, is Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
And Daniel Day-Lewis, I mean, when he did My Left Foot, he made them carry him around the goddamn set because he was playing someone with cerebral palsy and he couldn't walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So there is some craziness to it. But the Jared Leto thing's actually a very important point, because towards what we were talking about earlier at some point here, where they do things too fast.
Yeah.
Like I even look at this. Batman with Christopher Nolan, the last one was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
This is so quick. And Jared Leto had to, I always say Leto, I never know which one it is.
I always say Leto. I think it's Leto, but I don't fucking know.
It's one of those. But he had to follow up. I don't care how great an actor he is, and he is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
He had to follow up that. He had to follow up Heath Ledger.
It's a tough one to do.
I think it was like 9 years later that he had to do it.
Yeah.
You're not going to follow that up. It doesn't matter who you are. You're not, and I mean, he's also immortal because he's dead. That really doesn't help. But even without that, he was so perfect in that no matter how ridiculous you went or how deep you went, it's the same thing as like if someone went to make The Godfather today. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
No. No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
If you're listening to me, movie production people, you fucking corporate suits, don't do that. You do that, I'll find you. Anyway.
Dorey will find you.
If they went to do that, it doesn't work. And now you're talking about doing it less than 10 years later. We're so fast with things.
Especially when it comes to superheroes. Like they've done now, we've had 3 separate live action Spider-Man. We've got Toby, we got Andrew, and we got the new guy, Tom Holland. Like I'm a huge Toby guy. But they're like, I love Toby's Spider-Man. I don't like his Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield, love his Peter Parker. No, I love his Spider-Man, don't like his Peter Parker either. And then, meanwhile, this new kid, I love him all around.
Now, were you a comics guy?
I've never read a comic in my entire life.
Okay.
When it comes down to why I love these characters so much, it's a combination of I grew up on Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, X-Men, and like Spider-Man as a kid. Like those were loves. But I was also obsessed with like Greek mythology. Like I was obsessed with the gods. Like I was obsessed with the power. And that's why I lean more towards loving DC Comics characters, because there are straight up rips of those. Like they even have the gods. Like Wonder Woman is like the daughter of Zeus. Like I love that. Like Superman is basically Zeus. Like the Flash is basically like I forgot the guy's name. The guy, like, what is it, like Mercury? I don't know. Whatever all the different gods' names were. And I was obsessed with those guys as kids. And I sort of found this translation of those kind of characters into these superhero characters. And that's pretty much how I became like obsessed with them. But I was also like a kid watching cartoons. It stuck with me.
Yeah. And it's amazing how you'll hold on to even like the crazy things as a kid, like SpongeBob or something, for example.
SpongeBob's
like,
still hilarious.
It's still fucking hilarious.
It's still fucking funny.
You know? But like if you didn't grow up on it, maybe you wouldn't laugh that much.
That's what I said with Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it as a kid or like you weren't into it as a kid, you're not really going to find it. Though my fiance says that she loves them now. She had never seen them until she met me. Really, never seen any of them. I was the first one to introduce them to all. And like I just remember like being like, "Are you ready for this? Are you ready?" She's like, "Let's do it." And like she loves them all, but like she actually prefers the newer ones because like she translates more to like the main girl who is like the all powerful Jedi in those movies. Like they make it a female centric hero in those movies, and she like loved that character, related more to that character. And I was like, yeah, like it's the sense of like if you had watched it as a kid, like I was obsessed with Luke Skywalker. And that's where like all that backlash was, because you had people who were obsessed with this character for 35 years and they just didn't like what they saw on the screen until something that came out a little recently, which sort of brought people back. But I don't want to spoil you more or anything than that.
Well, actually, we talked about Flixx earlier and just kind of ran through what it was and how the two of you do it. But you keep on insinuating some stuff here that I think is interesting because it's fun. It's you and your fiance doing it, but it's also male and female, like two different worlds.
Yep.
So you've talked about how she showed you TV versus you had to show her movies, sounded like that and whatever, and you kind of had that trade. But content-wise too, like you're showing her Star Wars for the first time. Since you guys are deciding what to watch together, because you watch everything together?
Yeah,
okay.
all the time.
So you got to mix it up. You got to mix up what plays to different age groups or genders or whatever, because there's just going to be different interests there. So what kinds of things has she turned you on to?
Oh, God. Well, besides just the whole TV aspect of itself, like pretty much opening up that whole world to me, she's gotten me into a lot more of the dramas, like This Is Us, A Million Little Things. Like those are some of like the better network shows on. And like, those are shows I never would have watched before because like I'm not into the whole feeling sad, feeling all the feelings and everything.
Jackson, you don't like feelings?
Oh man, I'll tell you, I fuck feelings, but no. No, like she got me into that whole world, like, and just a bunch of different shows. Like I mentioned that Teenage Bounty Hunters show, like about two little girls being bounty hunters. Never would have thought to turn on a show like that.
Yeah.
But she goes, you know what? I heard this from a few friends, like at work. Let's give it a shot. I literally, like, we put on the first episode and I was just like, oh, damn, can we keep going? And I was like, Stranger Things, another thing I never would have watched from the beginning.
That's one I haven't watched.
Yeah.
I haven't gone there.
Such a beautiful throwback to the 80s.
Give me the layout, because it's like it's got some extraterrestrial shit going on.
Okay, it's got some like interdimensional shit going on. So you got like your four kids, like it's straight up like Stand By Me style. Like you got your four little kids all like obsessed with Star Wars because it's literally like 1983, 84. And then next thing you know, there's this government, because there's always this government agency and everything. They're doing
in 1984.
1980, never in like the middle of nowhere, Indiana, and I think it's Hawkins, Indiana, is the name of the town. And there's like a local government agency that's looking into this rip into the dimension, and like monsters get loose and everything. But the whole thing is just so nostalgia based that because like the 80s right now is popping. Like reloving the 80s again is awesome.
All right. Do you think it's the 80s? I'm not even going to argue that. I've definitely seen some themes of that. But the main one I have seen over the past 2 years that is insane is the 90s.
The 90s, it's now the 90s turn.
Okay.
The 90s, it's now
so Stranger Things was coming up when the 80s
like
was
now
like
you're going to see a lot of 90s stuff. Like Jonah Hill did a movie recently called Mid-90s, which was a throwback. Literally, like it follows like this little kid. He's like a skater kid. Like,
damn, I'm
which
so
like
disconnected.
Like
Jonah
if you go,
Hill?
Jonah Hill directed it.
Directed a movie
Yeah, it was
called
his-
Mid '90s, and I never heard of it.
Yeah, and it was his feature length. It was his feature debut, and Jonah did well. I'm a big Jonah fan, but like the '90s is the next thing. Like that movie came out, one of the superhero movies, Captain Marvel with Brie Larson, took place entirely in the '90s. They de-aged Sam Jackson for the whole movie. He looks like '90s, and it's good. Like they did well with the technology there. Then again, you have a bunch of '80s and '90s movies to reference Sam Jackson's face from.
That's true.
But like they give him the hair back, and he looks like a young '90s Sam Jackson in that movie. That movie, it's not one of the better Marvel movies in my opinion, but like that, the '90s is making a huge comeback. But this show is all about a dedication to love and passion for the '80s. Like the second season, the first thing you think is Halloween. They're all dressed up as each Ghostbuster. Like full on
that.
Peter Venkman outfit, everything. Like the 80s had its turn. Now it's the 90s. The 90s is the next one that's going to come. So I guess it's what, like every like whatever's 25 years ago is now back.
I think it's what your parents were when they were coming of age that gets people interested, and they can't put their finger on it, but that's really what it is. So when I say coming of age, right now, people coming of age are people who are like 20. Right?
Yeah.
The 20 to 25 bracket. And
Yeah.
a lot of their parents were coming of age, during the days of the sitcom and the days of the East Coast, West Coast hip hop rivalry and this whole new era. And also, I won't go really deep into this, but if you ever heard of The Fourth Turning? You're not a big reader, but you ever heard of that book?
Never heard of it.
As someone who does what you do, that's one you should read.
Okay.
Because The Fourth Turning, I'm not going to go into it right now, but it breaks down generations and how they work.
Yeah.
And all generations work in 4 cycles, and they follow similar themes.
Oh,
so like I'm on the very back end of the millennials, right? Like right on the cutoff of Gen Z and millennial.
Ooh, that ought to be a good one.
My millennial, and you're a millennial.
Yep.
So our generation follows a similar pattern to what the greatest generation did. The World War II
World War II.
generation. So just as an example, that's what it is. So when you see these cycles, these every other ones where it's like parent-child, they have like this oil and water and then water and water kind of thing where they're opposites, but they're also not opposites.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, so there's this like inherent biological built-in thing where we want to know what was that experience like and how can we redo it, and then add social media and add, instant communication to things. Obviously you're going to get a lot of like ideas around it that then rebursts it and brings back shows even like all together. Like that's why everyone watches Friends.
Oh my God. And that's the huge thing that's going on right now is all like the different shows that are now being rebooted and retooled. But like you bring back some of the original cast to set it in the universe, but then you create this whole thing. Like they just like rebooted Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
And I watched it. Didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed it. Shocking.
What's his face just died?
Yeah, Screech.
Yeah.
Screech. Rest in peace, Screech. Yeah, and he had the whole history with all of those guys. Like, where like he said he hadn't seen Mark Paul, that Zach Morris. Like he hadn't seen him since like the last episode of Saved by the Bell, the college years, whatever the spinoff was. And yeah, it's sad because apparently he was supposed to come back in the second season. Like they were ready to bring him back, and now I think he passed away from cancer, which is it's awful to say. But I mean, that also takes me back to like certain actors, who died young. You mentioned Heath. One I actually can remember was Paul Walker. When Paul Walker, I remember exactly where I was, and I was actually with my buddy who is also a diehard Fast and Furious fan. And I loved what they did with how they retired his character off in like that 7th movie. But yeah, that's
Phillip Seymour-Hoffman.
Phillip Seymour-Hoffman. Like that's funny because I was recently just watching The Hunger Games over again, and I saw how they had to retool his scenes after he died, and like Carrie Fisher died, but right before the 9th movie, so they had to retool footage from other. It's crazy how sometimes they can do that.
Phillip Seymour-Hoffman's another one who is, to this day, even in death, one of the most underrated actors I've ever seen.
Along Came Polly.
Along Came Polly.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
glad you said that.
Oh
Go
my
off.
God. Rain Dance, Raindrops, this this high pole jumping guy, this crocodile wrestling, and then you got Baldwin and Stiller in there, and it's the guy from Cocktail who he's got to represent him, and he's like, "You're Ruben's proxy." He goes, "I'm a professional actor. I can take care of this," like in like a Trumpish kind of sounding voice.
The range, man, and he knew how to not do too much.
Yeah.
Like, you watch The Ides of March, Ryan Gosling's
Great
another
movie.
one who's incredibly underrated as an actor.
Love Gosling.
The scenes in that, Phillip Seymour-Hoffman went into that just saying, do less.
Yeah.
And like, you watch that scene with Gosling realizing he got.
Yeah.
And Hoffman's like basically saying to him, here's the fucking game, bro. It's not this like, oh my God, or whatever. It's none of that.
Yeah.
It's just here.
Yeah.
It is right down the middle, and he nails him with that voice.
Yeah.
You listen, kid. You lost when you fucking came here, and you're watching that, and you're like, holy shit, because this dude was just so about it. And he's another one because died of drugs, and
Yeah,
I believe I have to go check this. I haven't looked at this in a while. I believe he was a method actor too.
He was. It seems like there's a lot, but yeah, talking about the range. I mean, that guy was fucking hysterical. Along Came Polly. Then you think about he was in Twister. Bill Pullman, Twister. He was like the camera guy.
That one.
Yeah, like you remember the big tornado movie and everything, the flying cows. God, man. Twister. That's a classic Bill Pullman, who's also rest in peace himself.
Yeah.
I mean, not Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton. Sorry, Bill Paxton. Bill Pullman is Independence Day greatest. Wait,
I'm thinking of a different guy. Who was the guy when you said Bill? Now I know who Bill Pullman was.
Bill Pullman was the greatest movie president ever. Independence Day.
Bill Paxton.
No, Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton was like Aliens 2, what was that HBO show, like Big Love, where he was like a Mormon, he was married to like 3 or 4 different wives.
I know who that is. I was thinking of someone totally different who did die like 2 years ago. Was he in Homeland? I don't know. I'll think of it. But yeah, totally different guy. But back to you and your girl.
Sure.
So she's showing you some things like some period pieces and stuff like that. What else?
There's actually one recently actually came out, which me and my friends have liked Joe. It's called Bridgerton, and it comes from Shonda Rhimes, who I think she did like Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
and
I know Shonda Rhimes.
Behind all of that, and she basically did this period piece drama that's set in the 1800s and it's about courtship, like in England, like this English town, like people like having to basically find, like, it's about women trying to find a husband. Like, and like not anything I would be into, but then shockingly, it's a good show. It's a good show, but I mainly like it because I like making like the British voice. Just be like, oh, I'm hanging with Mr. Bridgerton today.
All right, the guilty pleasures is really what has to come out of this, because
Guilty pleasures.
You have
definitely have plenty of them.
You're being shown. It's a gender thing too. Like, you're definitely watching a lot of chick flicks that women like. Right?
I've seen a few.
So what do you like?
When it comes down to like romantic comedies, like I know like everybody, like I love the one with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis,
Friends with Benefits.
Friends with Benefits. Yeah. I think that is probably like one of my favorite like rom-coms ever. Like, I love like a movie like that because it's like, it's also funny, like in the sense of like, it's not funny in the sense of the romance. It's a funny movie.
Yeah.
And but
your tits, they're perky.
I mean, Woody Harrelson is hysterical in that movie, where he's just like, oh, I gotta take the ferry back to Jersey. Oh, I was talking about the boat too, like something like that. like he just like gets right into that character, which is Woody Harrelson. Great actor. But when it comes to guilty pleasure, like I know like the Transformers movies are guilty pleasures. They're terrible.
I was sticking with the gender ones.
You're sticking with the gender ones? Okay. I'm trying to just think of what else. But yeah, like the dramas are stuff that I'm like, oh, like she got me back into watching like Law and Order SVU.
Still not going to the gender ones.
No.
I'm talking full-blown chick flicks.
But
like 10 Things I Hate About You.
Well, 10 Things I Hate About You is not a chick flick. I fucking love that movie.
I fucking love that movie too, but it's a chick flick.
Yeah, I guess.
Don't run from the truth, pal.
I don't know, man. They're so good in that movie. I love that movie. But I'm just trying to think of what are some of the other like guilty pleasures that, like, it's mainly more in the TV space, but like she's obsessed with like the Matthew McConaughey, like Kate Hudson movies.
Failure to Launch.
Not Failure to Launch. What's the How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Oh yeah.
Like I watched that with her. I was just like, okay. I enjoyed that one. So there are definitely some new things that she has absolutely introduced me to that I never would have thought about. And that's the best part, is talking with somebody else about it, getting their opinion, and then like next thing you know, you might have fallen into a show that you love that you never would have thought of starting to watch.
Yeah, I was always a sucker for the art because, like I said, I'm a sucker for acting, like of all kinds. So I was never like ashamed of that. I watched everything. Like I watched anything that was like interesting. If people were interested in it, I would watch it. I always joke, but I'm dead ass serious. I watched the entire series of Sex and the City. It's fucking interesting.
There you go.
I was like,
that's coming back.
At first, when I went to watch it, I'm like, I can't believe I'm gonna fucking do this. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. Then I watched. Next thing I know, season 2. I'm like, oh wow, oh, okay. Because you're also like, it's one of the most chickish things ever made. Like, there is nothing about that that's made for designed for a man. But you're also like, it's getting in the mind of females, and that's all we ever think about. Yeah, so you're like, oh wow, that's how they. Because some of it's obviously like exaggerated or,
of course,
wrong
naturally.
and done artistically, but there's a lot of it that's like based in truth too. And so you get really into it because you're like, damn, I never realized women think like that about that or whatever. Yeah. And it's to me like that's the cool thing you get out of it. Whereas the more stereotypical ones are sometimes funny to talk about because it's like your typical 90-minute, chick flick, the fucking Notebook or something. Like, I don't know how much you're gonna get out of that, right?
Whereas got nothing out of that.
Yeah. So, like I've obviously watched some of those over the years. Usually not at my own discretion, but someone else fucking tell me.
Yeah, I've seen the Twilight movies, man. Like I know what it's like, maybe because you're sitting with somebody that really likes them and you really want to impress them.
Yeah. Yep. But are you? It seems like you're pretty successful in getting all the content that you like.
We watch everything she does. She like if there's a show that she wants to watch, like I will make sure I'll be like, yeah, we'll find time. We'll do it. We'll always find time.
But from your end though, also what you want.
Yeah,
and
everything.
she's into it.
She's into it 100%. Like,
awesome.
and I've turned her on to things that she had never seen. Star Wars. She had never seen. The best is I get to rewatch a lot of the favorite franchises from the past. That because like she never had saw Lord of the Rings, so I got to rewatch all of those. She couldn't do the extended editions. A little too long for her, but maybe one day. But that's what I'm saying.
Even today though, with TV shows, it's a little too long for her.
I mean, like there's only so much a 3.5 hour for a movie that you can just truly stay locked in. But then like she was watching, she was like, wait a minute, this is like a hardcore better Harry Potter. Why have I never been watching this?
Yeah.
And I was just like, exactly. So like I'm turning her on to new things. She turns me on to new things. Like that's what it's all about. Like
Vigo, dude.
Yeah, Vigo's great in that. I was actually just rewatching Return of the King the other day, and I love the scene just like at the way end where he becomes king. Like he's the king. But then he kneels for the hobbits. Like, because you realize that the hobbits ran that whole movie. They ran the narrative.
I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, and I wasn't a big Lodor guy as a kid. Like, but now you can see I even say Lodor and shit like that. But like that, now they're going to have a TV show eventually. Amazon Prime doing a Lord of the Rings TV show. We'll probably be seeing stuff about that in like a year or so.
I guess. Well, they did do The Hobbit recently, but
I don't hate those Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
They're nowhere near as good, but I don't hate them. Like too much CG in terms of the trolls and stuff. Like we saw them as actual physical things in those first movies.
Those guys didn't really get typecasted though, which is good.
That's good. A lot of people get typecasted.
Like Vigo didn't get typecasted from that.
No. I love Vigo in Green Book.
Oh, Green Book's
he's hilarious.
Such a good movie.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious.
Tony Lip.
Tony Lip.
And Tony Lip, people don't know this, but Tony Lip played Carmine in the real Tony Lip in real
get
life
out of here.
Played Carmine in The Sopranos.
That's hilarious.
That's him.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Good fun fact.
Yeah. So that movie is like when he was poor, like as a young dad, like trying to make it and whatever. And then he also turned out to be the guy who ran the Copa, which everyone knows that the Copa is, well, not everyone, but if you watch Goodfellas, it's the famous scene there. Like he was the guy at the front. So The Sopranos was good at that. Like taking people who maybe weren't actors, like even like a Steve Sharippa and stuff like that, and being like, all right, bet you're going to be good on camera. You'll be great in this. And then they just bodied it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you surround people with enough good talent and they'll step their game up that they never even thought about. like always. And that's always love. I always love when people like hate somebody when they get cast. Like Heath Ledger, people hated that casting, and goes out and absolutely kills it. Like this is before huge online fame. Yeah, I'm talking about The Dark Knight.
They hated that casting.
They hated that casting.
Really?
I mean, could you have pictured the guy from Brokeback Mountain putting on a couple of face? That's what it was at the time. Like you're saying the same thing about Pattinson right now. Like,
but you know what? That was I forgot about that. That was such an overreaction just because like it was shocking to a lot of people back then. But you know, Gyllenhaal and Heath were fucking terrific actors. Mm-hmm. So they never took a step back in their career after that, which is a great thing now. But you would think back then, world's not ready for it or whatever, and like wasn't accepting and all that, and it didn't. I mean, their careers. Well, he's dead now. His career was amazing. Jake Gyllenhaal's career has been incredible.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I love him so much.
He is. Do you say Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal?
I say Gyllenhaal. I have no idea. I don't.
Weinstein. I don't
know. Tomato. It's one of those things. But I'm a big fan of Gyllenhaal ever since the early days of Donnie Darko and all that. Those classic ones.
What's your favorite movie
of his? Oh God. There's that one where he plays. It's called. Is it October Sky? Where he plays. Like
October Sky.
Yeah, it's like October Sky or something. It's him. It's a young Gyllenhaal, like very young. Like this is probably just after
99.
Yeah, probably just after Donnie Darko, and it's him and a bunch of these kids. I think they grew up in a coal mining town in West Virginia, and he's like his goal is to get to space. Like that's all he wants to do with his life. He gets inspired by Werner von Braun, and Sputnik, that inspires him.
Hell of a guy to get inspired by.
Yeah, and literally, there's like a whole plot centric around it. But I don't want to go too much into this movie. But he's just like a young kid who's just trying to get out of this town to try to better himself, and he does. But this is how they do it. They start building rockets.
How did they make Werner von Braun look in that movie?
He was in it for 5 seconds. Like he's in a picture, and then he's in one scene.
Did they talk about his past?
No, they don't, because this movie takes place, I think, in like the 60s or the 50s.
Dude, there was a show on Amazon that's like a little. It's not a little. It's way over the top. It's like almost a guilty pleasure one, but it's good. Called The Hunters.
Yes, I saw it.
You saw it.
So without because now I know why you saw Al Pacino.
Well, I knew the Werner von Braun story before that, but they weren't kidding in that. Obviously, they remade history a little bit, like whacking him. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry.
But you know, he was a Nazi. Yeah. Like not like a Nazi. Not that there's like a difference, but like in World War II, he was a Nazi. Yeah, like a fucking top of the line. Like, all right, how many are we gonna kill today in the Holocaust? Nazi.
That was what Operation Paperclip.
Operation Paperclip.
Bring all the scientists over.
He runs NASA.
Yeah.
Came over here and ran NASA.
Well, have you ever seen the second Captain America film? Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
No.
Because there is an aspect of that where they take Operation Paperclip, and instead of the Nazis, it's Hydra, and how they slowly infiltrate for the last 80 years. And it's the movie that I say, if you want to start watching Marvel movies, that's the one I tell people to watch. Even though it's like probably like the 8th in the series. Like I say, look, this is the one that's going to get you, because it's like a Jason Bourne meets like Flight of the I forget what that Robert Redford movie is, where like the government's coming after him and whatever, and it's literally that, but with Chris Evans as Captain America, and I loved it.
That sounds great, and I like Chris Evans a lot. Big
Chris Evans. You watch Defending Jacob if you have Apple TV. Defending Jacob. He plays a lawyer father, and his kid gets accused of killing a kid. So essentially, their whole family's life gets turned upside down. He now has to help save his son, with the backstory of did he not do it? Like you never even know. And it's a great show. It was definitely on my top 10 from last year. Defending Jacob.
For background, real quick on Operation Paperclip.
Yeah,
for people that have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Operation Paperclip was a discrete U.S. government operation right after World War II, where they went in and took quote unquote Nazi talent. So the one thing about the Nazis is they did have some of the greatest technological innovators in the world, like the best at the time. So once the war was over and they were defeated, the U.S. knew that they were going to be coming to a big head with the Soviets, and so if they didn't get them, the Soviets were gonna. And so instead of getting them and killing them or putting them to death after a trial, which is really what should have happened, they decided to just throw certain guys under the rug and bring them here to do shit. And Werner von Braun is probably the most over-the-top example because he literally ran NASA.
Yeah.
NASA. So, I don't know why I said NASA, but he ran NASA, and like I said, he was, he was a not good Nazi, right? So there is a big moral conundrum there. And then actually, this just reminded me of this. There was a TV show I found towards the beginning of the pandemic that is not on anymore called Finding Hitler, I think.
Don't know it.
It's a documentary.
Ah, okay. Is it documentary or docu-series?
Docu-series.
Okay, I love me a good docu-series.
No, it really happened. Like they were doing this. There are some people out there who think Hitler didn't die. Because we technically don't have, like, the corpse that Russia had is not him.
I know why you're talking about this, and we don't want to spoil, but love that finale.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But, and people don't know what we're talking about, but I know. There's a team that they put together for this show. It's like, it's a whole bunch of different people, like a black ops guy, like Tim Kennedy, who's now like on Joe Rogan all the time. Okay, he was one of the guys. I was like, wait, I fucking know that guy. So they went down to like South America, where a lot of these Nazis escaped to.
Argentina.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't just Argentina. It was I'm gonna get some of Brazil. I want to say Chile. There were a few. Yeah. But Argentina was a big one. And they would go to these towns that are basically like protected German fortresses where they still keep the SS tags like hung on their wall. It's creepy as fuck, man. And there were guys who escaped there. Mengele is the most common example, the terrible doctor who lived there and later died as an old man, and only afterwards did they find out that he was there. There were some serious Nazis that got there, and so they were talking about, what if Hitler escaped? Yeah. Because the other thing that the Nazis had that ties into like our world financial system is that they had a lot of hard assets. They had a lot of gold.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, think about, let's be honest here.
They pillaged and compiled.
Think about all they literally took an entire race of people and stole everything they had in hard assets. Yeah. So the power that can wield, getting to foreign countries who need money and being able to bribe them and then have a lot left over, it's compelling. It's an interesting show. A lot of people are like, it's a hoax conspiracy. It probably is, but it was still... I watched it, and I didn't watch all of it, but I was like, this is really fucking interesting because at the very least, they're getting places. Like, they're seeing that there was a lot more to this. Like, was there a Fourth Reich that they were planning and whatever? And it makes you start to think about Operation Paperclip, and
then you watch the show, you watch Hunters, and...
dude, it's scary because then you're like, is there like a long-term plan that they want to implement, which obviously I guess hasn't happened, but it's still creepy to think about.
Yeah, which is why like I love with what a lot of these movies are doing is they are adapting things that happened in history. Like they literally straight up mention in the movie Operation Paperclip. Like I'll be honest, that's truly how I knew that it happened because I learned it from the movie, which is sad. I probably should have learned about it in like 7th grade social studies.
Amazing how they didn't teach us those things.
Amazing how they didn't. Right? But then you have like the X-Men did it, where like Magneto was Jewish, like in the Nazi camp. That's literally how they open the first 2000 movie is they open it with that scene. And then in movies later, you have like Michael Fassbender going down to Argentina and confronting because he's on like a Nazi hunt for Kevin Bacon's character. And he's like going all around Germany. He's going into South America, which brings to that. Like, so I love it when the movies take real things that happened. Like they did the Cuban Missile Crisis in that movie. Like they actually did it and they adapted it into the movie.
We can't talk about this without the greatest example of all time.
Oh, let's go. Let's hear it.
What's the greatest example?
I don't know. You gotta give it to me.
Come on, movie. Very famous director. Rewrote some history in a very ridiculous way.
Oh, you're talking about Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, yeah, baby.
As soon as you said rewrote history, I knew immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, Inglourious Basterds is without a doubt a top 10, or I think it's a top 5er for me.
Is that your number one Tarantino?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, and I love Tarantino.
Yeah.
Love it. Like even some of his movies that like I'm not a huge fan of, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Love it. Like Reservoir Dogs doesn't really do it for me. Incredible though.
Yeah.
Inglourious Basterds, outside of the opening scene of The Godfather.
Yeah.
The opening scene of Inglourious Basterds
Won him the Oscar.
Oh, completely. Christophe Waltz.
Won Christophe Waltz the Oscar in that opening
Christophe Waltz, pound for pound, is one of the greatest actors
Phenomenal.
you'll ever see. But I don't even know the name of the other guy, the Frenchman, in that scene.
scene. Oh, God.
Unreal.
Yeah.
That scene, you are sitting there gripped.
Ripped. You're just like, what the hell is this guy going to say
And
next?
it's like 20 minutes, and there's these little like movements you start to learn more and more and more. And there's that dramatic irony where but someone in the room doesn't know.
The camera pans down to
Oh
below,
my
and you're just like,
God.
oh shit, they've been in there the whole time.
That is Inglourious Basterds. If you have not seen that film, do yourself a favor. Turn off this podcast right now.
Go turn it on.
And I believe it's on Netflix right now.
Probably.
Go watch that movie.
Yeah.
Because he does such a good job mixing in ridiculousness and comedy into darkness and also drama.
And using modern day music at the same time.
Yes. And he pulls it off.
Yeah. So I don't know how.
He pulls it off like
Rap songs in Django. Like, dude. What?
Tupac was in Django. Like they won it. They
Django.
won an
I love
Oscar
Django,
for that,
actually.
I believe.
Yeah, probably.
But it's like he pull, and then you have Michael Myers coming in going Operation Kino. We would
I forgot he's in that movie. I forgot about that.
We would like you to do Operation Kino, and like takes Winston Churchill, who's this historical stalwart figure,
Yep.
and makes him this fat guy going smoking a cigar in the back, and it works.
I mean, that movie, every time you hear the word 9 or 9, you're
I was
like,
just gonna say 9.
It's like it's funny because I remember it cuts to him just doing that. Like it's not this scene. It cuts to him just going 9.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, man. Oh, that scene's an all timer, and like I love how they change history up in that movie. But like, it's so
there
good.
are two scenes where I'll be in a bar with Mike Spear and we are talking to different people at different parts of the table.
When you come together,
and we'll just at some point we'll make eye contact, and one of two things will happen. He'll either go 9, or he'll say, "You did it! You did it! Me in the shower! You did it!" And goes full my cousin Vinny, and everyone always looks at us like we're crazy.
Yeah,
but there's
course.
just something about, and they're totally different movies, but there's something about those two things. It's like you know exactly what it is right away, and it's fucking hysterical.
I mean, how can you not laugh when you hear Brad Pitt doing a hardcore American accent, and trying to do Italian Gorlami.
Gorlami.
And they're just like, yeah, what's his name's third best?
Dominic Di
What?
Coco.
I don't speak Italian. Exactly, third best.
Every time he goes, it's Dominic Di Coco, and then he goes,
You gotta have
Antonio Margariti, and he's like, a little more music in your voice, Margariti. It's like it's fucking incredible.
Tarantino, man, I love Tarantino's work. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's got like I love Django. Huge into the Kill Bill movies. I love Kill Bill Volume 1, the scene where she just owns everybody in that entire room with the sword. Love that scene.
The amount of blow and acid and probably like very shitty plastic bottle vodka that
Pop off.
Tarantino drinks, snorts, and takes while writing his scripts to get that genius out is probably unfathomable, but it's incredible.
Yeah.
Because he can take, like, you think about World War II
Yeah.
and Hitler, that is and then to put comedy in it, that is, if anyone came to me and I were a corporate suit, like I'll even see it from their angle right now. If someone walked into my office and I'm running Warner Brothers and they're like, listen, it's a World War II movie, Hitler, the whole Holocaust, but it's funny. We fucking murder Hitler at the end, but, like the entire time it's a bunch of dark humor and we skin Nazis. I would be like, nope.
And then they go, oh, by the way, Tarantino's attached to do it, and he wrote it. And then just be like, whoa. All
right, now I'm in.
You got me now. Like, why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah, but it's like he can pull that off.
Yeah. He's definitely, like, when it comes to my favorite, like, this is a good, like, I love favorite directors, like, of all time.
Who are your favorite
like,
directors?
definitely Christopher Nolan is definitely a phenomenal director. One of the better ones today, Denis Villeneuve, who, like, if you saw Gosling's Blade Runner 2049, great movie. Like, they did a sequel to Blade
I love
Runner.
Ryan Gosling. I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, they did a sequel to Blade Runner, brought back Harrison Ford, and Gosling's in it. He's the main character. Great movie.
Really?
Blade Runner 2049, I believe it's called. But Denis also done like Arrival and Prisoners was a great movie. And this year he's going to be doing Dune. Like the famous sci-fi Dune movie.
Yeah,
like
I know
he's
that.
doing it. I saw the trailer and I was just like, holy shit. I don't know the mythology or the background of this, but I need to know it now.
I need to check out this guy's work more.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Give me his name after. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's like Dennis, but it's pronounced Denis, of course.
It's got to be artistic, man.
It's got to be artistic.
I like that people keep their names though today.
Okay.
I like that it's not like, someone has some
Stage
12
name.
syllable last name and suddenly it's Smith.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I
hear
like
ya.
that guys are keeping their. I like that even like it's an easier one to say, but like Christophe Waltz is Christophe Waltz. It's
Yeah.
not like Chris Jones.
Yeah, no, it's Christophe.
It's stupid.
But then I always love when they go, well, how come every time, I think it was in A Star Is Born, where they're just like, why do you got to call me by my first name? I'm just Jackson. I'm not Jackson Maine. But it's like anytime you saw a celebrity, you just be like, holy shit, that's so and so. But you got to say the full name.
That's a perfect movie.
Yeah, Star Is Born is great. I love A Star Is Born.
Loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I've watched it 4 times.
Yeah, that was my fiance's favorite movie from that year.
That movie got me.
Yeah,
Like
that movie
it
great.
really, and I'm a huge Brad Cooper guy, but kudos to Lady Gaga is one of the most talented people in the world, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, she's just, that was perfectly written, perfectly directed, perfectly acted. I mean, and Brad Cooper is a guy that makes me want to run through a wall because look, yes, is he like a really good looking dude? Does that make some things easier? Sure.
Yeah.
Didn't for him. This dude, like, go back and watch. He was in the actor studio in New York. He was in the audience when James What's-His-Face is hosting those things.
I've seen
asking
that.
questions
Asking
of Sean
questions.
Penn.
Yes,
asking
I've seen
questions
that video.
of Robert De Niro. No one from that crowd ever actually makes it to be a star. No. And this guy, he started as Sack in Wedding Crashers. He was in Nip Tuck where he like
was in
tried to blow
Wet Hot
himself.
American Summer.
Yeah, dude.
That movie was from like 2000.
And you know where he got his break doing a comedy and was fucking brilliant as an actor in it in The Hangover. That's where he got the break.
That's what became him a star.
And dude, like that he was 33, 34 years old. He grinded for years.
Yeah.
If you are trying to do anything in your life, like whatever it is, whatever your dream is, and you're looking for people to be inspired by it, or like, no, like, hey, there's gonna be a lot of times where it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You can't. Like, if you ever seen that scene in Nip Tuck, like he literally played like a guy who broke his neck blowing himself. Like that is who Bradley Cooper was playing and shit in like off-bit cable TV shows. And he just kept fucking going.
Just keep doing
and then
it.
he made it. And now he's the guy.
Yeah.
And as an actor, I mean, to watch what he did in A Star Is Born was moving. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was, and he directed
it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like
Every time when that movie comes up, I always love like the scene where he's like, well, how about I just want you to go to that and play that song of yours, like in that accent. Like
I want you to play that song.
I want to go home and play that song.
He's got like the little nasal thing.
Oh, he's just constantly hammered throughout that movie.
Taught himself to sing too.
Actually, that's what I give him respect. Like, I love Rami Malek and Bohemian Rhapsody came out the same year, but he's not singing. Bradley Cooper is singing in the movie,
had a #1 song.
Yeah,
in the country.
Oh my God, yeah, that song. That song broke up his relationship. Did you ever watch the Oscars from that?
Yeah, I don't think that's what
I don't know, but
yeah.
like so they usually perform like the best original songs.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
They did it, but like
I'll put the picture down here.
Yeah, his girlfriend sitting in between both of them, and then when they go up, like you just watch them both grab hands over her and then walk up. It's like you could tell that relationship was done.
I don't know if I read that much into it, but
I do. That's what we do.
Arena Shank, a lot of talent. We'll say that.
Okay.
Anyway, neither here nor there. But he's. I mean, I get so inspired by watching him do what he did. Because what's funny is I used to watch Inside the Actor Studio, and before Brad Cooper was Brad Cooper, I think Wedding Crashers had just came out. So this is like 06 because Wedding Crashers was 05.
05,
and I was watching that Sean Penn one. So this is like 06, 07, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I see him stand up. I'm like, that's the motherfucker in Wedding Crashers. Hilarious. Wow, he's like taking himself seriously. Good for him.
Good for him.
And then a couple of years later, it's like, wait,
The
that
Hangover guy.
motherfucker's in The Hangover.
Yeah.
And then like he does Limitless, like, okay. And then he does Silver Lining Playbook, and you're like, whoa.
Silver Linings Playbook, great. Obviously, as an Eagles fan, we move towards that movie.
Sure, but it's a heavy movie.
It is a heavy movie.
It's a heavy movie, and that was an important movie for Robert De Niro because he had a couple rough ones.
Hey, brought him back, yeah.
And it really, it just catapulted him to bring him back. But Brad Cooper, mad respect for what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I have respect for like the guys that started off shitty and then you come back around to them. Like a lot of people did not like I wasn't the biggest fan of Leo like in the Titanic area and like the beach and stuff. And then but when I finally saw, I think it was The Aviator, when he started to be Leo, and then it was The Departed. But I always think of like Matthew McConaughey and the McConaissance.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
McConaughey was great early on in his career. McConaughey and Ben Affleck are similar, except I don't think Ben Affleck was really ever good early in his career. Ben Affleck
He's good at Dazed and Confused.
Dude, Ben Affleck was Matt Damon's friend who like sat there and smoked weed while they wrote Good Will Hunting, and then it's like,
Family
that guy.
Family Guy is a hilarious clip that rips on that exact moment that you're talking about.
Oh, really?
Like Matt Damon's finishing the
haven't
script.
seen
He's
that.
like, Good Will Hunting by Matt Damon. And then literally Affleck's on the couch going, yeah, why don't you throw my name on there too?
But he came out and he did like we talked about this earlier, but like the Gone Baby Gone, Argo, The Town, and suddenly I was
Argo,
like,
another
holy
great one.
shit.
Argo, another great one.
Like Matt, like Ben Affleck can act, but Matthew McConaughey had some of the early ones, and then I loved him in Reign of Fire. He was incredible in that. Like,
Reign of Fire.
with the skinhead and the smoke and the
I never thought
stoves.
I'd be talking about Reign of Fire and like
God.
Operation Paperclip so much in just a short time.
Underrated, but he went like a lot of people thought Matthew McConaughey was a terrible actor.
Yeah.
And then did a few things, but for my money, I will never forget watching True Detective.
Best season of a show ever. First season. Best season of a show.
I'm not going to disagree with you, man. Season-wise, I mean, it's frightening.
It's good. Like you had mentioned that scene from Goodfellas, the cabana scene where it's the one long shot.
Mm-hmm.
It might be overtopped in that first season. There's that one scene where he's just going in and out, like he's carrying, like he's bringing the guy, like he's like, I think he took somebody from somebody's house and then he's running through the houses, like trying to avoid fire from other people.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
But it's like a 13-minute one long shot, which is amazing. But yeah, that first season was incredible.
I love the documentary in and out storytelling of that. When he's sitting there like, I'm gonna need another drink. And you just got these two detectives like this fucking guy.
Yeah. Well, usually on Thursdays I start drinking by noon, so somebody's gonna have to go to a store for me.
It's 1:00 right now.
Reggie Ledoux. Shout out to my boys, Ledoux, Reggie Ledoux.
You don't know what evil is until evil looks you right in the eyes, stares you down, comes to get you. Like, can you imagine just being a detective?
No.
Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
The fuck
like,
up,
just tell me
dude.
what happened.
I'm just trying to work 9 to 5 right now, man.
It's like I just want to catch the guy.
You've been
Like, maybe
blacked out-
I will.
You've been
Maybe I
blacked
won't.
out since 11 in the morning. What are you doing?
But that was the writing Pizzolatto did in that.
Yep.
He kind of fucked himself because you can never top that writing.
No,
It
2
was
and
that
3.
good.
2 is the most unforgettable, and I hated the ending to 3.
I didn't love the ending to 3, but what I will say is he really redeemed himself in 3.
Yeah, 3 is
if
definitely
you put
better.
2 alone and just you didn't have the first one, maybe it's pretty good.
It'd be interesting to revisit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. It'd be interesting because I remember Colin Farrell beats he's got like the fat ginger son, and then
Yeah.
he beats the shit out of like the dad and the son.
Yep.
Psycho.
But the first I mean, what's crazy is Woody Harrelson is so fucking amazing in that first season.
Yep.
But we actually kind of forget about it a little bit because McConaughey was just
overshadows
that dude.
Well, this was like around the time, it was the beginning of the McConaissance. Like
Yeah.
he would go on to to win the Oscar that year for Dallas Buyers Club. And then he would go on to be like at the Emmys or the Globes, and they're all just like, dude, what are you doing here? Like you're a movie star. And he's going up against, like, I think he would have won the Emmy if it wasn't the fact that it was the final season of Breaking Bad that same year. Like, so he lost to Cranston, of course.
Love Bryan Cranston. Think Breaking Bad is an incredible show. I will, and we can debate this. I think The Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad, and Mad Men are 4 TV shows that I call
Mad Men's up there for you?
perfect shows. Yes.
Okay, so wait, I'm glad that you brought up Cranston.
Okay.
Because, and I'm telling everybody now, the best show on TV right now, it's on Showtime, called Your Honor.
Yep.
This is the best show on TV right now. The season finale, I believe, is this Sunday. So go binge the first 9 episodes or 8 episodes. You will love it.
My parents are talking about that. They're watching it. But
catch up.
Cranston is another one. Could never happen without Jim Gandolfini.
Yeah.
Never lets Bryan Cranston was the dad in Malcolm in the Middle.
God, I love that show.
And he bodied it.
I love
But
that
the reason he got the Breaking Bad role is because he did one X-Files episode back in the day and was so riveting that, like, the whole concept of Breaking Bad is like take Mr. Chips and turn him into Scarface. And dude, I mean, that show still gets you. And they did it on cable TV too. They were limited.
Who the hell is AMC? Like, what network is that? Think about when AMC was crushing it with that show, and The Walking Dead was at the absolute height. Like, AMC was killing it.
I think that in his own style, differently, Vince Gilligan is a Quentin Tarantino of TV.
Okay.
Because he takes and it's not. Some people are screaming at me right now. Listen to that. It's not parallel. You don't have like crazy, like dark, ridiculous, that was ketchup coming out and clearly not even good prosthetics. It's not like that. But he mixes comedy into darkness. And you can make the argument with The Sopranos too, but The Sopranos is the mob vibe. It's like a little different. He mixes darkness into everyday comedy.
Yeah.
That if you gave me the concept of Breaking Bad, I'd have been like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then they somehow still keep it. Like, you know, they have the kid and she's got, you know, Sky has the business in season 3 and all that, you know, and she was kind of insufferable as a character to me.
My friends constantly debate like who are some of like the worst people like on TV and on movies. Skylar is up there. Like, along with Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Usually I only say this about guys. I don't have a lot of examples for women for whatever reason. Like, you'll watch movies or TV shows and you just dislike a guy because of their face.
Yeah, sure.
Like, not because they're way too good looking or really ugly. There's just something about their face and the role they're playing. Yeah,
Rob Riggle and what is it, Step Brothers? There's something about I just want to just punch it.
Well, we're not going to say that about females at all.
No,
We'd never condone that here.
Never.
But something about Skylar's face never did it for me.
Yeah.
Like, very attractive woman.
Yeah.
I just don't like in that role something about it. But she was. That's the thing. I could ignore it. Because she was fucking terrific. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's not like, it's not like Coppola's daughter in Godfather 3, Sophia, who was terrible, right?
Good director.
Right, exactly. Like, stay behind the lens.
Yeah.
Sky was excellent, but it was just, that was the one thing that was a little off. And then, like, even the son worked for me. And they went outside the box there, too, which was really cool. And, you know, I don't know how many roles he gets these days, but he should, because he was terrific. There's just so much about that show where it's like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then it just did.
Yeah. And what I love about, like, what I was just talking about, Your Honor, is you kind of get that same show, but he's now just a judge. And I'm not going to give because I want you to literally, when we're done with this, like, you go watch just like the first episode.
Isn't that similar where it's like his son did something wrong? Because you were talking about another one with the son movie, but this is where the son
does something. And the son has come up onto my top 10 list of some of the worst people ever. The son in this show, Your Honor. But great. But like a show that is similar to Breaking Bad that I absolutely love, Ozark. If you're not watching Ozark on Netflix with Jason Bateman.
Here's an unpopular opinion. Love Jason Bateman.
Oh, don't say you hate Laura Linney. Don't say you hate his wife. All right,
no,
good.
Laura Linney's a great actress.
She's phenomenal, especially in season 3.
She's unbelievable. I was not a fan of the show.
Really?
I watched the whole first season.
That's hard.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, hey. Everybody's got their own opinion, and I don't mind it.
And I was like, there's so much great acting in this, but just something about it couldn't do it. And I literally haven't met someone who has that take. I don't know.
They had me in the scene where, like, in the first episode, when Bateman just talks his way out of not getting killed. And that's just what the show is. He just finds a way to talk his way out of shit. And I got to give Jason Bateman credit, a guy who came from comedic talents and does a really good drama role.
He's another one that underrated as hell, man.
Steve
as an
Carell.
Actor. Oh, dude, Steve Carell. Steve Carell is just... Every time I think like he can't get more incredible,
He does it.
he does something more incredible.
Yeah.
The one that did it for me was the wrestling movie.
I was about to say Foxcatcher.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this movie with Alex the other night with Channing Tatum and Mark Ruffalo as like the brothers, and he's like that. He's got
When
like
I
the
saw
weird
the
nose.
prosthetic
I was
and-
just like,
yeah.
holy crap! Like, who the hell is that guy?
When I saw the weird nose and knew it was Steve Carell, I'm like, I'm gonna hate this. This is gonna be fucking terrible. And I
Right.
watched it and I believed him.
When they can nail like the prosthetics and the makeup, like the truly ones, like turning Gary Oldman into Winston Churchill, like that won him like an Oscar. Like, and then you just saw Colin Farrell. That did not look like Colin Farrell in that movie trailer for the Batman. But when you go and look at the picture, you're gonna be like, it still does. You're telling me that's Colin Farrell? Like 100 pounds heavier, but it looks legit, and he's like looks like a gangster. But like those ones, those people, like, they deserve the Oscars for the ones that can truly pull it off.
Some of the things that Christian Bale has pulled off, because you said that's your favorite guy.
I love.
You know
Bale.
what one I haven't watched yet that I can't wait to watch? This is like a sin I haven't watched this. The Vice one.
Yes.
Where he's Dick Cheney.
Yes.
Bro.
Great
You want to
movie.
talk about the trailer?
Great movie.
You loved it?
I am, but this after you're done with this, I'll go back into another director that I absolutely love. But go for it.
No, that's literally what I was saying. Like, I saw it and I'm like, because I highly dislike Dick Cheney, so I was very excited that there was a movie coming out about him.
It's phenomenal how they work. But the director, Adam McKay, he's like
Adam McKay directed that.
Anchorman, like the Anchorman movies, like Step Brothers, the other guys, everybody has worked with Will Ferrell, and then he does The Big Short. Mm-hmm. I can't stop rewatching that movie all the
Short's
time.
incredible.
The Big Short is incredible. Once again, it shows that Steve Carell can do something. It's got Gosling. That movie's an all-timer. It's got Brad Pitt. It tells a good story while keeping it funny.
Gosling did a movie. Do you know what movie I'm thinking of? Not Blue Valentine, because that's like the outside the box one that some people are like, oh, they immediately say that because that was an indie that was extremely underrated. He's incredible.
Yeah.
But he did a movie that did not get nominated for Oscars.
Oh, is it The Place Beyond the Pines? I knew you were gonna go there. Great, another Bradley. Back to Bradley again.
Bro.
Place Beyond the Pines. Very good.
Ryan Gosling is in that movie for an hour.
He's got that Eminem hair, right? Like he's like very blonde, I think. Isn't he very blondish in like that
Yes.
movie? Yeah.
That is one of the most moving performances I've ever seen. He is that to me, his performance in that movie. Yeah. Like you talk about Phillip Seymour-Hoffman saying "do less," which he was in that scene with Gosling in The Ides of March. I mean, that's a masterclass on just like, how do I take on this crazy, Marlon Brando, wild child, early 50s biker role.
Yeah.
And maintain this level of just kind of right down the middle and doing all this crazy shit. And like, I don't know, man. Like, I remember that is a movie you must sit down in your seat.
It's a great movie. Not many people know. As you're right, not many people know about it. But I believe it's Bradley Cooper, Gosling, and Eva Mendes. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's some other great actors.
But I think
in
they're
that.
like the three main.
Who
ones.
plays the father? Who plays Bradley's father?
I don't remember. I'm trying.
That's sin. I can't remember that.
Yeah, that's a movie I haven't seen in a while.
The guy who is the wingman with Ryan Gosling. I never remember his name. He's an unbelievable character actor, though. You know who I'm talking about. The guy who's got the little lisp.
Oh my God, I'm totally blanking.
I may need to
sorry.
pull that up, but yeah, like that movie. But that's another example. The corporate suits fucked that one up. They brought that movie out in March.
Yeah.
Like whoever did that should just go stand in a corner and stare at it.
Yeah, I mean, like that comes down to like whenever I know a movie is coming out, they say coming out January. I know it's garbage. It's whatever, and that's what December used to be until Star Wars changed that. And then Star Wars, then all of a sudden they just realized, look, nobody is watching movies over the holidays and into January. We can just keep crushing money in. And that's literally how those movies, like they just said, all right, we're going to get away from the May date. We're going to put it in December. You're going to watch it for the next month and a half in the theaters. We're going to make over $1.5 billion.
And, you know, the end of Oscar season run with all of it. So just a movie like that, the fact that they put it out then, it took away its ability for people to see it. But I recommend it to anyone who will ask, like, give me a movie to recommend, because it is a true story.
Yeah.
It is a true riveting generation.
It's a crime movie.
Yes.
It's a great crime movie.
Generational drama. And like that was, I think it came out in 2012.
Sounds about right.
That was when Bradley Cooper had heated up.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing. He's so fucking good in that.
Yeah.
But he's overshadowed. It's one of those because you don't even appreciate him because Ryan Gosling is just that dude. Like that, you want to talk about the opening scene, just fucking following him around.
Yeah.
Literally like walking in the locker room of this shit like carnival, and you don't see his face, but you see the ridiculous blonde hair, and he's like, I think he's playing with a knife. Or something.
Yeah, probably
he's
has
playing
one of
with
those
something.
butterfly knives. Probably.
Yeah, and then he just walks into the ring and gets on the motorcycle, and like the sound and everything. You're like, oh.
Well, did you ever see Drive with Gosling?
Who else is in that?
I think it's just him, but he essentially plays he's like the getaway driver.
Yes.
The Drive is
that's an old movie.
It came around, I think, around the same time as The Place Beyond the Pines.
Really?
Yeah, I think it might have came out a little while, but that's another great Gosling movie. Another great Gosling movie, The Other Guys, with oh my god, I'm totally blanking on Russell Crowe. Him and Russell Crowe together. Great movie.
I have not seen that.
It's a good movie.
I've seen the other Guys.
Yeah.
With Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
No, sorry, it's not The Other Guys. It's The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys. That's the name of it. The Other Guys is the one with Wahlberg. Yeah, but The Nice Guys. Yeah. Probably somebody just blowing up in the comments.
All right. So, somewhere in there, you went through some of your favorite directors. Who else did you miss?
But Adam McKay was one I was getting
to.
Talk about somebody that completely switched up his career with one movie, gets all the Oscar buzz, and then comes back and does Vice. Yeah. And now he's got another movie coming out in Netflix that has like that. It's about, I think it's almost parody-ish, but it's about like global warming. It's got like Leo, it's got Jennifer Lawrence, it's got a massive cast. And you're telling me the Anchorman guy can now pull this kind of things? But that's what happens when you get your one shot, like with something new, and you crush it. Like The Big Short, crushed it. Love that movie.
It's art, dude. It's art. And obviously, I'm a huge Scorsese guy because if you study old movies like 30s and 40s movies and study Italian films too, where a lot of great art happened, and I studied that in college, you see the homages that Scorsese does in every film. It's amazing. Yeah. But I always look at the top of the leg, what are the most perfect movies ever made? Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 are two absolutely stupendous movies that remain culturally, socially, and symbolically relevant today. And it's literally about the mafia, which is the craziest part. But it's about America. It's about the bastardization and the downsides of the American dream. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's another prime example of simplicity, because Coppola's style is let the actors act and give them the best lens to just continuously act. It's not all this up close and cutting and bullshit. It is just boom.
Scenes, boom.
Dude, you watch even where Vito, gives out. You watch how they did that and how he did the end of it. And he does this a lot. He did it with the Fredo scene and all that. The long shot where you're not even up close with them.
Yeah.
And it just sits there.
Yeah.
And seethes. And I'll tell you, one movie that frighteningly, and this director is really underrated, one movie that frighteningly reminded me of Coppola's style that I saw in the theaters that I had a visceral reaction to because it's an emotional movie.
Yeah.
Was Steve, oh my God, why am I forgetting his last name? Is it Steve McQueen?
Yeah.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah.
Bro,
oh yeah.
The cinematography in that movie where he just let it sit.
Yeah.
How he was like, how can I do less?
Yeah.
That's a perfect movie.
That's great. It's such a good. It's
It's
good
hard to
movie.
watch,
It's hard to watch, especially when like you're just like, oh my god, am I just Fassbender? Like, am I just a piece of shit? But the worst person is what's her name from like all the American Horror movie. And now plays Nurse Ratched. Oh my, can't believe I'm blanking on her name right now, but
dude, it's tough hearing. Like I'll admit, I know they're acting and they're doing a great job, but it is tough hearing like great actors throw around. They say nothing of what they're doing in it too, but just throw around the N-bomb left and right. It's hard to hear that.
Yeah.
It's not just uncomfortable because of society. It's uncomfortable because like like that's Michael Fassbender or like that's Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Doing that. And
I
like
love Giamatti too.
And it's like I respect him for being able to go do it, but I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
It's just I don't fear words, but there's like certain things it's like that's not even a word. It's like it's a history.
Well, I remember it was supposed to be originally be Will Smith in Django, but he said he couldn't do it because of the amount of N-bombs that get dropped in that movie, so he didn't want to be a part of it.
Dude, I don't blame him. I mean, and that one, they mix comedy into it too. You mentioned that earlier. Like he finds a way to put comedy
and the music and the modern day music. That's why I think they called him like director DJ, or DJ director. That's how they often refer to Tarantino, because he knows how to bring that modern day music into something from the 1800s, which is fucking crazy. But God, I love that movie. But yeah, and then you got the classic directors like Spielberg. Spielberg, of course. Like Spielberg and like doing like the indie movies, Jurassic Park, whatever. One of his more recent ones that I liked a lot was Ready Player One, which I know was a big, huge book that a lot of people loved, and then he adapted it. But that's another one you got to.
We always forget Spielberg. Spielberg's
it's because like it's just like it's Spielberg. It's Spielberg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know the McQueen guy. A friend of mine is I fucking hate name dropping and all, so I'm gonna stay very mysterious about this and not say I fucking hate name dropping.
It's all good.
It just kind of came up. Friend of mine is, let's just say, close to the process of the Tupac documentary.
Okay.
And the guy who's now gonna do it is. Did you ever see the Defiant Ones?
Who's in that one? That's why I said this is the conversations I love having. I love having movies and shows that I miss, so now I know what to watch this weekend.
Defiant Ones is a 4-part documentary that came out in 2017 that chronicles Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre and their rise up through music, where they eventually met, like their careers officially came together, and then goes to Beats and Apple Music and the whole nine. But it is a tour de force of the history of music since 1970.
That's awesome.
Everything.
I gotta watch it.
And my favorite of all time is Tupac. And I always say my favorite artists of all time, Tupac and Frank Sinatra. And people look at me like I have 10 heads.
I mean, that's
where I'm at. But the Pac biopic that happened, and the same guy was heavily involved with that, and then pulled out because there kept on being problems, and they fucked it up so bad. Yeah. I mean, it was a horrible movie, historically inaccurate.
Oh, right. The one that they did recently, right?
So bad.
Yeah, I remember that.
So bad. So when that was going to happen, because this guy was no longer involved and anyone who was important was no longer involved, and they knew it was going to be bad, he was like, we need to tell his story and we need to do it right. So they're going to do a 5-part documentary, I believe.
Cannot wait for it.
On Netflix. And it's going to be, I think his name's Alan Hughes. It's twins. I think this one's Alan. Alan did, if it is Alan, we'll check that after. He did the Defiant Ones.
All right.
And he did, I mean, it's a documentary, but the art of a documentary for directing is such an underrated thing. Yeah. Again, I love this shit.
That's why they get Oscars.
The way episode 3 of that is the Interscope episode.
Okay.
Where they go through that, because that's the biggest part of the story.
That is the story.
It is the climax of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And you cannot tell the Interscope story without Pac, because he was, I mean, you're talking everyone, 9 Inch Nails, Gwen Stefani, all these major league trendsetters were there, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, but like Pac was the gasoline and the fire.
Yeah.
And culturally, socially, musically, the stories I've heard about him behind the scenes and the talent and the things he did, the number of songs he recorded in his career that we will never know about is absurd.
Yeah.
It's in, I don't know that it's at 10,000, but it,
10,000?
Bro.
No wonder why we were hearing music for another 15 years after.
Bro, they haven't released a lot of it. He would record songs and be like, I didn't like it. Delete it. Dude, he was a horse.
Yeah.
But the way that Alan Hughes introduced him in that movie, and he said it was emotional for him too, because Pac was bipolar. You know, he was one of the smartest people to ever walk this earth.
Yeah.
But he was a brilliant guy who was very, very tortured. And so he had his emotional issues, and he was thinking about people, and then he had to play a role of like tough guy, and he was just very
very paranoid too, right?
Oh
like,
my God.
Very paranoid.
Maybe I was saying maybe not dead, but that's another conversation for another day. But
another day.
You know, he died at 25. People don't think about that.
Yeah, way too young.
And when he died, he was in a lawsuit with Alan Hughes because he got in a fist fight with him. You know, because Pac was also, he was like the first legit rapper actor because, I mean.
I forget about that he acted too.
He's an unbelievable actor.
Yeah.
And so Alan Hughes, like they did, I forget what movie, but he literally got in a fight with him and then was in a lawsuit. And so Alan Hughes had to make this movie. And he said, what's crazy is I'm making this movie 20 years later. And I realized I never dealt with that.
Oh, damn.
I never dealt with his death. And like, you know, they died on bad terms, but he loved him.
Yeah.
And like, he loves what he did for music. And he was like, it was like, I teared up making this movie because I'm like, holy shit, Pac's dead, which sounds crazy, but I just never faced it.
Yeah.
And the way that he transitioned Pac into this movie, he takes the famous music video from Brenda's Got a Baby on Pac's first album where he's coming around the corner in the black and white.
All right.
And he puts it like in silence and then takes the song Shed So Many Tears, which was years later, and is like this deep, like sad anthem for the hood and like comes into it.
Love
and
it.
like I would rewind it every time. Like I gotta watch that again. I gotta watch that again.
10 seconds back.
It is fucking unreal.
Right.
So when I see directing like that, and now I know he's gonna be directing the actual Pac documentary, I'm like, oh my God, it's fine. Like people are finally gonna appreciate this man.
I'm looking forward to it now. You just got me really pumped, man. That's all about what I've been doing is I love opening up the conversation because that's another thing. I was never really into like documentaries and docuseries. Like that was another thing that Alex turned me on to was watching that and like the award shows. Never used to watch them. Always used to thought they were dumb as hell. But but the docuseries, especially now, I think it's like the perfect background show for me. Like while like I do other stuff, is I like having a good docuseries because I'm not into like the gruesome murder shit. She's into that more than I am.
Yeah, like what was the one on Netflix? The guy who was like kind of innocent and he's in jail. Making a Murderer. Yeah, like I didn't really get into that.
No, I wasn't into. I think I only watched like half of it, to be honest.
Couldn't do it.
That's never been me. I never want to. Why are we glorifying these people?
Yeah, I do like a good docuseries though, and I love I've been a long time documentary guy.
I can tell by this conversation that you're a very much a documentary guy, and I'm trying to get
if
myself
you like
to that.
music at all. The Defiant Ones
Ones
is it, and you'll learn about music too.
Yeah,
like I'm crazy with music. I go across every generation. Like I love everything except country. Sorry, people. And so like,
country's good on a nice Saturday in Lewisburg.
Yeah, maybe. But I knew pretty much everything that was happening in that movie. You know, when they went from Tom Petty to like fucking Eazy-E, like. I fuck with both of those guys, right? But there are a lot of people who watch that and maybe like they don't listen to Tom Petty or they never heard of Eazy-E, whatever. Then they watch this, they're like, oh my God, you know, like I would turn people, they would watch this documentary and then they'd be turned on to music that I could never get them to listen to before, but now they see the story behind it. It's amazing.
I mean, everybody always just loves it. As long as it's a good story, you got people involved, man. And you hear somebody who dies so young, especially somebody like Eazy-E. Like I loved the guy that played him in Straight Outta Compton.
Got robbed.
He did get robbed. Yeah, he did get robbed. But like when he just goes into like that scene, like in the booth, he puts the hats down, puts the shades on, and then he's just like cruising down the street. Love that.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Yo, damn, E, that was good, man.
Dude.
Great movie.
That was another one, Shivers. He nailed it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys don't nail, you know, the real life, larger than life figure like that. He fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Rami Malek nailed it with...
You just told the words. Rami Malek is the one that...
I was calling him Remy.
I know, Rami. I know. That's another one I need to watch, Mr. Robot, because I heard he's fantastic. But like, Rami Malek, because Bohemian Rhapsody was my favorite movie of that year. It was. Great movie. It was, because I love Queen, and I just love the music. Was it a concert movie? Yeah. Did I enjoy the fuck out of it? You bet your ass I did. Yeah. So...
There are a lot of things that we're not going to get to today because we're coming up on the end. We've been talking for a while. I haven't nerded out on movies and TV shows.
It's called sweating, getting sweaty, sweating out.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if that's what I would call it, but we'll say exactly because I want to agree with you as my guest. But, you know, I miss doing this, and like talking to a guy who knows fucking every single thing is, I love it. But I cannot let you out of here without touching on something that we didn't get into earlier, which is the movie theaters, because as you said,
yes.
You did start going back when they opened up. It's not the same. There's no one in there. There's, you know, you're masked up and all that shit. But movie theaters were already in trouble because before Corona, you had this ability to not have to take the effort and go somewhere, and let alone fucking pay to get a seat.
Yeah.
You can do it on demand, watch it with your girlfriend, chill in the apartment, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're ever going to come back now as a result of this, because now they've been economically destroyed?
I mean, like AMC was dying, like was dead. Like they literally hit like the perfect storm of bad things to happen when Corona happened, because they started like their own. The only reason how I was able to go to a movie every Thursday is because AMC had a program called A-List, where like you pay like $20 a month, you're allowed to see 3 movies a week. So like all you have to do is see a movie twice, like because movie tickets cost $25 now. So all you have to do is see 2 movies a month, and you paid it out. And so they were doing that. Not only that, but they were buying up all the little small theater chains, and then they were renovating. And right as they started turning a profit, COVID happened, and that's literally why they were in so much debt. Like they were just starting to come out of that, and then like luckily they were able to get a few cash injections, and then the whole big thing happened where they were able to pick up some money. That at least that was only a Band-Aid on top of the massive wound that they are currently facing. I pray to God that they come back. Obviously, I love going to the movie theater. Nothing beats seeing a movie unless you see it in the theater. Like, because when you're watching at home, you get distracted by so many things. But when you're in a movie, you're locked in, and that's it. That's all you're doing. And when you're sitting there with a mask on, it sucks. Like, and you don't get like, sometimes the interaction with the audience during a movie can make a movie better. It can make it a lot worse too. But then like, you're just like, the whole time you're just like looking around, you're like, you're not even focusing on the movie because you're breathing into a mask, and it sucks. Like, I encourage people to go to the movies, but like it sucks. It really does.
But there's going to be a lot to get people more locked in at home. I mean, COVID aside, Anthony Fenu's putting your movies right here.
That would be, I mean
he's doing
awesome.
it.
Like some Iron Man shit, just being like.
He can do it right here where you're watching it in 3D instead of on the screen.
Oh my God.
It's everything, you know? And so the trends already were bad. And nostalgically, I mean, this country was built on the entertainment industry, among many other things. But that's certainly something that it's like, there's just something about, like, if you're an Entourage fan, you love all the movie premiere scenes in there.
Oh yeah.
You go back, you watch old clips of the news where people were lining up outside the movie theaters in World War II to see the latest news. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. There's something about being so locked in and in there, and that special event that's awesome. But I don't fight societal trends because I know that's where they go. Like that's why I don't fight things like Bitcoin. I fucking love Bitcoin and have been an early adopter of that. Yeah. But you don't fight the things where the people are telling you, hey, we're going for convenience and control. Yeah. And so movie theaters don't allow that. It's cost to go there. You have to physically travel there. You have to take time out of your day. Yeah. It turns on when it turns on. If you got to piss, you can't pause it. You got to spend $15 for a popcorn there. You can fucking make it at home and probably make better popcorn. Yeah. You know, there's all these things around it, and now you've normalized people to being away from things that the things I think people are going to really go back to with COVID are the social things.
Yeah.
Going to the bar and getting fucked up, which I can't wait to do.
Very much looking forward
I am
to that.
hitting up, like, we are buying tables at Premiere when this shit is over down in AC. Like, that is fucking happening.
God, I miss
That,
AC.
yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, at your house. You're not fucking creating a club in there with,
Yeah.
you know, some rapper playing, headlining on Friday night. Like,
Yeah.
that's not happening. A movie theater you can recreate. I was just in a basement that had a 300-inch screen.
Yeah. Damn. Whose fucking basement was that?
Venues. You know what I mean?
Name drop.
So, no, but really, like,
Yeah.
I went down there. I'm like, why would you ever need to go to a movie theater?
Yeah, but
You
I mean,
know?
like, it's not like he can get the new stuff there. And what's really hurt, like, the movie theaters right now is the fact that they're not even releasing all the big blockbusters right now. They just keep pushing them back, and those or where, like, people didn't go to movie theaters, like, at least right now, to go see the smaller stuff. There are people that do, but the ones that are getting the non-casual fans are those huge blockbusters, and they're not coming out right now.
But isn't HBO Max putting out all of a couple companies like?
Oh, well, this is the thing about HBO Max is they didn't tell a lot of the people who made these movies that they were just doing, like, we're gonna put it out the same day it comes out in theaters. Like that's what. Then they got into a huge scuff with Legendary, who's done a lot. They were like behind the Batman. Like, you would recognize, like, you know how there's always 10 million symbols like right before a movie starts. You would recognize the symbol, and they literally had to pay Legendary $250 million so that they could then stream Godzilla versus Kong, which comes out later in March.
Look, I understand these guys, and I respect it. Like, you listen to Scorsese, he's made some comments that, you know,
Yeah.
about, like, superhero movies that
Fucking
people
hates them.
certainly
Yeah.
disagree with. He's entitled to his opinion. It's
course.
fucking Marty Scorsese.
Absolutely.
Shout out.
Yep.
GOAT. But you can't. History is not kind to people who fight the trends.
Yes.
And you have, and look, when you're older, you got to adjust. And to Scorsese's credit, he's made a career on being respectful of the past.
Yeah.
And integrating it into his films to this day.
Yeah.
So if anyone's walked the talk with that and not just totally rewritten the books on stuff, it's him. But he also did rewrite the books on how he scored his movies. I mean, he has the most expensive soundtracks of all time,
Yeah, he
integrating
does.
pop music more perfectly than any director did. Before that was like really
Yeah.
a thing in serious dramas, and as a part of the story itself. You know, not that it hadn't been done before, but he was one of the innovators there. So
Yeah.
he did new shit too. And what he's got to realize is, like, Marty, I know you love the theater, but it's probably going away. And I'll respect him for doing the Netflix thing.
Yeah.
He did
did
go
it.
there.
He did. He did. do
But,
it.
you know, when you talk about how films are supposed to be consumed, when these guys talk about it, well,
Cinema.
oh yeah, the cinema's the
Cinema.
word they use all the time. Like, the cinema is supposed to be consumed.
It's a film.
Right. What is that from?
Oh,
What
no,
is-
no. That's just, I think that was Scorsese.
No, that's from a spoof.
Oh, you're
It's-
right.
Oh, Billy, director Billy.
Oh, Entourage.
It's a
Yeah,
film.
Billy Walsh. It's a film, not a movie.
I don't make movies.
Easy
I
soup.
make films.
Easy soup.
That's
Easy
it.
soup.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna get that past me.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But these guys, you have to adjust. And, like, I try to picture, like, Fenyu and Riley and Baker, the founders over there at SOAR, like, trying to explain this to, like, some lifelong artists who've studied film, and this
Yeah.
is the shit they do, and saying, look, love what you're doing. Now we're gonna put it life form in front of you, and those guys just being like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation.
I mean, it unfortunately is the future, and it's a future like that I really don't, because I want the movie theaters to always be around. As I said, theater experience, it's so much better. There's so many times where I've loved a movie so much more than somebody who just saw it when they were, like, at home watching it. I was like, because you don't get, like, just the sound of the music just coming from everywhere.
That's true.
And you got a screen so big that you can't take your eyes off it. Where meanwhile, when you're watching on, like, your little 45, 50-inch TV, you're watching on your screen every 3 seconds. You just don't get
Texting.
just don't get the same feeling. It's not the same. Plus, I miss my movie theater popcorn. And one trick of the trade, which I hope when eventually people go back, is, have you ever heard of the butter straw? This is going to be the fattest.
Is this a heart attack in a straw?
It's essentially, but no. What you do is you take your bag of popcorn. You know how when you always put butter on the top, and then you're like halfway through the popcorn, you're like, shit, it's stale already.
I never put the butter on the top.
All right. Well, if for the fat people like me that do, is when there's the butter dispenser, you put the straw into the popcorn, and the butter goes down the straw, and you slowly move it up so the butter evens out all the way to the top. The fattest and greatest thing in the world ever. I miss my butter straw.
All right. Well, let's end on a disagreement there. That's pretty funny though. Listen, dude, this was awesome.
This was amazing, man.
I love having like a out of left field podcast like this, where it's just like we just riffed on culture. I don't get to do this as much anymore, where we're talking about specifically like movies and TV shows. So this is amazing. Thanks for doing this.
Always, man.
And where can people find your blog?
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, Facebook, maybe TikTok, maybe whatever.
We're gonna work on TikTok.
We're gonna work on TikTok.
What's the ad on Instagram? I'm gonna include it in the notes.
Flixx and Flix. The first Flix is CKS, and the last one is an X after Netflix.
1X.
Yeah, okay. 1X on the end one, which I understand is a little hard, but yeah, like, comment, all that stuff. You
got a solid page. You got like 5,000-6,000 followers just doing it like on the side. I mean, this is really, this is why I wanted to bring you on. I want to have people on here early, at least some of the people who, you know, maybe aren't looking at something that they're really, really fucking good at to add a ton of value, who I think should be doing it to blow up. Like, I think you guys are really, really fucking good at this. You have the male-female combo too. Yeah. So there is every angle of it covered.
Oh, yeah.
And people follow the blog on Instagram. Just start there, and we're going to work on
guys, please follow us. You know, every Wednesday we post a watch list. Every Friday we post a watch list telling you what's coming on that weekend. If you're staying at home, which everybody is right now, we'll tell you what to watch. Trust me.
If there are flies on this, dude, they're paying rent, because there is nothing, absolutely nothing missing from the watch list. I mean, you cover, I think you've had some foreign films on there and shit too.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Which is just amazing.
You gotta get out of the box sometimes.
Amazing.
But,
so,
yeah.
Great content. Keep it coming. And we'll go follow the page, and we'll do this again, man.
I can't wait to do this again with you, man. This is awesome. This is awesome. Amazing, man. I love it.
Thanks for coming down on a weeknight. Another New York guy coming down on a weeknight. I love this shit. We're building something here.
New York, New Jersey, baby, for life.
All right. Well, everyone else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace.